Everybody to AllChatPod bonus episode 2. We'll have another episode coming out tomorrow night. But tonight we are going to be reacting and watching the second and final presidential debate of 2020. They're about to start. I'm going to go grab a beer real quick.
Yeah, I got one as well. Or it says 8 minutes. It starts in 8 minutes. Hey, Caio.
So what do we got? 3 minutes? So
I mean, on C-SPAN, it's telling me 8 minutes.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. I guess it would be 8 minutes.
Hey, Caio. Are you there?
Yeah, one sec.
Okay, sounds good. I wanted to ask, I'll ask you as well, Micah. Do you have any bets on what's going to happen
No.
in this?
I got no idea. I'm a little nervous.
Me too. I mean, I don't know why I am, because I feel like it won't change anybody's minds.
I don't think it is.
Everyone's already set.
I don't think this is going to hurt. Unless something like absolutely bonkers happens, I don't think this is going to change the election at all.
Yeah. No. I think, yeah, most people have already made up their minds.
The moderator for this evening's debate is Kristen Welker of NBC News.
That's the
Good
moderator.
evening, everyone. Good evening.
Yeah, hopefully she does better than
Thank you so much
the
for
other
being
two
here. It
moderators
is
so
such
far
an honor
for
for
VP
me
and
to moderate this debate tonight,
Yeah,
the
the
final
scream over
debate.
Trump,
I want
that
to
was
welcome
so-
the
that
First
was
Family
so
and the
nuts.
First Lady.
Kendall,
We're
did you ever
so
watch the
glad
VP
and thankful
debate?
that you are feeling
Yeah,
better.
it was
Thank you,
I wanna
thank you,
welcome the
thank you,
Biden
Vice
family,
President.
Dr. Jill
Thank you,
Biden.
Vice President.
Thank you all
Thank you,
for
Vice
being
President.
here tonight. We are so excited. We're looking forward to a really robust discussion. And the only thing I would reiterate are the CPD guidelines that when the candidates are talking, please hold any
I'm
applause
so glad
or
we're
any
muting mics
other
this time around.
reactions, except of course when they walk
Because
out. Make sure you cheer
Trump
and loud
did
and
not
applause so that everyone can hear you.
stick to the rules
Thank
last
you
time,
for
so we gotta
having me.
enforce
This
them.
is really the honor of a lifetime. I am going to sit down and just get organized and get settled, and the show will start very soon. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Vice President. Thank you, Vice President.
I think it's cute how she called this the opportunity of a lifetime.
It kind of is. It actually is. I think.
Yeah. It's crazy though. I feel like most people have probably voted. Like, I wonder how many votes have been cast so far.
I casted mine today down at the library.
Yo, watch out for they emailed me telling me they confirmed my ballot and verified my signature.
Oh, okay. How long was it before once you got the email, or like how long between voting and getting that email? Do you think?
Let me check. I don't remember the exact day that I voted. It was probably, I think I dropped it off last week. I think it was like 4 days would be my guess, but I'm not certain.
Let's check it a week. Let's check it a week, man.
I don't even know how they know my email.
It's probably registered with your information to vote.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, part of your
They did it
voter
for the
registration.
midterms also. Yeah, ballot notification. Your ballot has been accepted. So I got that on the Tuesday. Yeah, probably I think I dropped it off on Wednesday or Thursday. So, I think it was Wednesday. So it was about 6 days, I think. Yeah, about a week. So in a week you should check.
Colorado is so awesome for how we vote.
Oh yeah, I love Colorado for it. Do you think her is she nervous? Do you think her heart's beating?
Oh, this lady.
Pretty fast right there. Yeah, I feel like I'd be kind of nervous.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be so nervous to be a moderator because I guarantee at least half the nation's watching this, right?
Oh yeah, and especially the scrutiny the moderators get for this, to the responsibility of reeling in and trying to make this a cohesive
with Trump
debate with Trump,
it's
and
crazy.
Yeah, I think what was it? I just heard today the stats, and it was like Trump interrupted Biden like it was somewhere between 50 and 70 times.
It was a
and
metric.
Biden interrupted Trump like 22 times, and it's just like a shit show.
Yeah, Trump just didn't let Biden get his. Oh, you got. That's what that sound was.
What was it? Amber
Alert.
Amber Alert. About
look out for a 1980s Volvo wagon.
Oh no.
Steal.
Ass. 5-year-old male, 3-year-old male with missing mother.
Oh shit.
They may be the victims of foul play.
What does that mean?
That's a lot right now.
Can I do like my little screen?
Look for a blue Nissan Leaf. Or was it Nissan Juke? Oh crap! Is it about to start?
Yeah, I think so. Yo, Caio, you like my little yellow screen?
Your little yellow screen?
On my video?
Oh. Little backdrop?
Gosh, what a dead quiet auditorium, man. It's crazy to me.
I think the mics are off.
Oh, fair enough.
Oh, I just got the Amber Alert.
When am I getting mine? I'm feeling left out. Oh, I got it.
Where's my Amber Alert?
Black Ford Fusion. That's gonna be a hard car to catch. That's just that kind of car blends in.
Is a Fusion just a sedan?
Yeah, just basic black sedan. Looks kind of new and bubbly, so it just kind of melds together with all the other cars. I wonder who's running late right now because we're about 4 minutes past.
I think it starts at 7:05 because based on the timer they had with like the 8 minutes.
Oh yeah. Oh, Caio, you there?
Yes.
I wanted to ask if you had any predictions for this debate.
Predictions? What do you mean?
Oh, does he have any predictions for what will go down?
I want to see how the mic's affecting. Does anything? I think the mic's turning on.
Do you think do you think Trump will just start shouting?
I feel like he will. He totally would. And then they're like, Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President. Shut up.
If he shouts, she's done.
Good evening from Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee.
Let's go.
I'm Kristen Welker of NBC News, and I welcome you to the final 2020 presidential debate between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. Tonight's debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. It is conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Commission's health security advisor. The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers, boos, or other interruptions, except right now as we welcome to the stage former Vice President Joe Biden and President Donald J. Trump.
He walks out without a man. Oh, okay. That's fair, actually. They do debate. Is there no screen between them?
No.
I hope. But in the VP debate, they had that.
And I do want to say a very good evening.
I think
to
it was
both
because
of
of Trump's active COVID case that Kamala was probably nervous about.
Each section, each candidate will have 2 minutes uninterrupted to answer my first question. The debate commission will then turn on their microphone only when it is their turn to answer. and the commission will turn it off exactly when the 2 minutes have expired.
This is exactly
After that,
what I
both
wanted.
microphones will remain on, but on behalf of the voters, I'm going to ask you to please speak one at a time. The goal is for you to hear each other and for the American people to hear every word of what you both have to say. And so
Thank
with
God.
that, if you're ready, let's start. And we will begin with the fight against the coronavirus. President Trump, the first question is for you. The country is heading into a dangerous new phase. More than 40,000 Americans are in the hospital tonight with COVID, including record numbers here in Tennessee. And since the two of you last shared a stage, 16,000 Americans have died from COVID. So
Oh my
please
God.
be specific.
Damn, that's hard.
How would you lead the country during this next stage of the coronavirus crisis? 2 minutes, uninterrupted.
So, as you know, 2.2 million people modeled out were expected to die. We closed up the greatest economy in the world in order to fight this horrible disease that came from China. It's a worldwide pandemic. It's all over the world. You see the spikes in Europe and many other places right now. If you notice, the mortality rate is down 85%. The excess mortality rate is way down and much lower than almost any other country. And we're fighting it, and we're fighting it hard. There is a spike. There was a spike in Florida, and it's now gone. There was a very big spike in Texas. It's now gone. There was a very big spike in Arizona. It's now gone. And there are some spikes and surges in other places. They will soon be gone. We have a vaccine that's coming. It's ready. It's going to be announced within weeks, and it's going to be delivered. We have Operation Warp Speed, which is the military is going to
Operation Warp
distribute the
Speed?
vaccine. I can tell you from personal experience that I was in the
I'm not going to
hospital.
take
I
a
had
rush
it,
vaccine.
and I got better. And I will tell
Yeah.
you that I had something that they gave me, a therapeutic, I guess they would
He
call it.
was
Some
on
people
so
could
many
say it was a cure.
therapeutics.
But
What,
I
he
was
did
in there a
three-
short
he
period
had
of
three
time, and I got
experimental
better very
treatments.
fast, or I wouldn't be here tonight.
Yeah, he
And
was
now
just
they
on
say
a
I'm
cocktail of
immune, whether
drugs
it's
of
4
the
months
best
or a
stuff.
lifetime. Nobody's been able to say that, but I'm immune. More and more people are getting better. We have a problem that's a worldwide problem. This is a worldwide problem. But I've been congratulated by the heads of many countries on what we've been able to do. If you take a look at what we've done in terms of goggles and masks and gowns and everything else, and in particular ventilators, we're now making ventilators all over the world, thousands and
You don't hear
thousands
about the
a month,
goggles that often.
distributing them all over the world.
No.
It will go away, and as I say, we're rounding the turn, we're rounding the corner. It's going away.
Okay, former Vice President Biden, to you,
I think that's a
how
bad
would
answer.
you lead the country out of this crisis?
I agree.
You have 2 minutes
He's
uninterrupted.
downplaying it again.
220,000 Americans dead. If you hear nothing else I say tonight, hear this. Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, not saying I take no responsibility initially, anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America. We're in a situation where there are 1,000 deaths a day now, 1,000 deaths a day. And there are over 70,000 new cases
Caio, you're echoing
per
a little
day.
bit again.
Compared to what's going on in Europe, as the New England Medical Journal said, they're starting from a very low rate.
How's
We're
that?
starting from a very high rate.
Good, I don't hear it
The
anymore.
expectation is we'll
All
have
good.
another 200,000 Americans dead between now and the end of the year. We
Wait,
just
what?
wore these masks.
Yeah,
Another
yeah.
200,000 in the
Advisors
next
have told us
2
We
months?
could save
Or
100,000
Yeah, 2 months,
lives.
70 days,
And we're in a
something like that?
circumstance where the president thus far and still has no
So many dead
plan,
people.
no comprehensive plan. What I would do is make sure we have everyone encouraged to wear a mask all the time. I would make sure we move in the direction of rapid testing, investing in rapid testing.
That's
I
what
would
we
make
need to do
sure
in the first
that we
place.
set up national standards as to how to open up schools and open up businesses so they can be safe and give them the wherewithal, the financial resources to be able to do that. We're in a situation now where the New England Medical Journal, one of the most serious journals in the whole world, said for the first time ever that the way this president has responded to this crisis has been absolutely tragic. And so, folks, I will take care of this. I will end this. I will
love
make
that
sure
Biden
we
says
have a
folks.
plan.
I think that's funny.
President Trump, I'd
Like
like
a
to
cute
follow
Right.
up with
way,
you and
the
your
folks.
All right,
comments.
folks.
You talked about taking a therapeutic. I assume you're referencing Regeneron. You also said a vaccine will
I
be
think he was on
coming
Regeneron,
within weeks.
Remdesivir.
Is
and
that
like one
a
other one.
guarantee?
No, it's not a
this-
guarantee, but it will be by the end of the year. But I think it has a good chance. There are two companies, I think, within a matter of weeks, and it will be distributed very
Can
quickly.
you tell us which companies?
Yeah.
Johnson & Johnson is doing very well. Moderna is doing very well. Pfizer
Moderna.
is doing very well. And we
Moderna.
have numerous others.
Moderna.
And then we also have
Moderna.
others that we're working on very closely with other countries, in particular Europe.
Let me follow up with you, and because this is new information, you have said a vaccine is coming soon, within weeks now. Your own officials say it could take well into 2021 at the earliest for enough Americans to get vaccinated. And even then, they say the country will be wearing masks and distancing into 2022. Is your
Yeah.
timeline realistic?
No, I think my timeline's going to be more accurate. I don't know that they're counting on the military the way I do, but we have our generals lined up, one in particular that's the head of logistics. And this is a very easy distribution for him. He's ready to go as soon as we have the vaccine. And we expect to have 100 million vials. As soon as we have the vaccine, he's ready to go.
Vice President Biden, your reaction, and just 40% of Americans say they would definitely agree to take a coronavirus vaccine if it was approved by the government. What steps would you take to give Americans confidence in a vaccine if it were approved?
Make sure it's totally transparent. Have the scientists of the world see it, know it, look at it, go through all the processes. And by the way, this is the same fellow who told you this is going to end by Easter last time. This is the same
He's
fellow who
right
told
about
you that, don't worry, we're going to end this by the summer. We're about to go into a dark winter. And he has no clear plan, and there's no prospect that there's
Game
going to
of
be a
Thrones.
vaccine available for the majority of the American people before the middle of next year.
President Trump, your reaction, he says you
I don't
have no
think we're going to
plan.
have a dark winter at all. We're opening up our country. We've learned and studied and understand the disease, which we didn't at the beginning. When I
Yeah,
closed
this
and
debate's
banned
not gonna
China
change anybody's
from
minds.
coming in heavily infected, and then ultimately Europe, but China was in January. Months later, he was saying I was xenophobic. I did it too soon. Now he's saying, oh, I should have, moved quicker. But he didn't move quicker. He was months behind me, many months behind me. And frankly,
He's
he
not
ran
the president, though.
H1N1 swine flu, and it was a total disaster, far less lethal, but it was a
This is
total
Joe
disaster.
Biden's America,
Had
everybody.
that had this
Dude, that
kind
one,
of numbers,
the H1N1 argument does not make
700,000
sense to me.
people
I just
would be dead right now, but
It
it was
wasn't
a far
that
less
bad.
lethal disease.
Same with Ebola, right?
His own
At least in
person
America.
who
I
ran
think
that
there was
for
like four.
him,
Like, all right, let me
who,
look it
as
up.
you know, was his chief of staff, said
I'm gonna
it
guess
was
like
catastrophic.
triple
It
digits
was
but low.
horrible. We didn't know what we were doing.
Nah, I was
now
right.
he comes up and
It
he
was
tells
four.
us how
Four?
to do this.
There were 4 cases of
Also,
Ebola
everything that he
diagnosed.
said about
Only
the way
2 were
every
contracted
single
in the
move that he
U.S.,
said
but
we
4
should
total
make,
in the U.S.
That's what we've done. We've done all of it. But he was way behind us.
Vice President Biden, your
4
response.
diagnosed in
My
U.S.
response is he is xenophobic.
Micah, you
not
sound a
because he
little
shut down
robot-y.
access
Oh, okay.
from China. And he did it late after 40 countries had already done that. In addition to that, what he did, he made sure that we had 44 people that were in there in China trying to get to Wuhan to determine what exactly the source was. What did the president say in January? He said, no, he said, he's being transparent. The president of China is being transparent. We owe him a debt of gratitude. We have to thank him. And then what happened was we started talking about using the Defense Act to make sure we go out and get whatever is needed out there to protect people. And again, I go back to this. He had nothing. He did virtually nothing. And then he gets out of the hospital.
Testing.
And he talks about.
Sounds good.
Then he gets out
don't
of the
worry.
hospital.
Testing.
It's all going to be over soon.
Yeah, I don't sound
Come on.
robot-y in the
There's not another
stream,
serious
so that's
scientist
okay.
in
That's
the
what
world
matters
thinks
more.
it's going to be over soon.
That's good,
President
yeah.
Trump, your reaction?
That's all
Say
that
over
matters.
soon. I say we're learning to live with it. We have no choice. We can't lock ourselves up in a basement like Joe does. He has the ability to lock himself up. I don't know. He's obviously made a lot of money someplace, but he has this thing about living in a basement. People can't do that. By the way, I, as the president, couldn't do that. I'd love to put myself in the basement or in a beautiful room in the White House and go away for a year and a half until it disappears. I can't do that. And Kirsten, every meeting I had, and I'd meet a lot of families, including Gold Star families and military families. Every meeting I had, and I had to meet them. I had to. It would be
Jazz
horrible to
hands.
have canceled everything. I said, this is dangerous, and you catch it. And I caught it. I learned a lot. Great doctors, great hospitals. and now I recovered. 99.9 of young people recover. 99% of people recover. We have to recover. We can't close up our nation. We have to open our school, and we can't close up our nation, or you're not going to have a nation.
And of course, the CDC has said young people can get sick with COVID-19 and can pass it. Vice President Biden, I want to talk broadly about strategy.
Why is that a surprise?
Though.
Why
You
are
have
people
six-
like, yes,
30 seconds,
young
please,
people
and then I have a
can catch it
question.
and
No, number
transmit it?
one,
I'm like,
he
who
says
thought
that
that
we're,
couldn't happen?
we're
Yeah,
learning to live with
seriously.
it.
Like,
People
who the
are
hell
learning
thought
to
that
die with it.
Everyone's like,
You
yeah,
folks home
only
had an
old
empty
people
chair
get
at the kitchen
sick.
table this morning. That man or wife going
just
to
a
bed
bad
tonight
flu.
and reaching over to try to touch their out of habit
being
where their wife or
sarcastic, by
husband
the way.
was is gone. Learning to live with
Trump's
it.
not
Come on.
interrupting. I think he
We're
saw how
dying with
bad it reflected on him
because
last
he's
time.
never
He's
said,
changing his
he
tactics
said
a
it's
little bit.
dangerous. When's the last time? Is it
Well,
really
he's just-
dangerous still?
No,
Are
it's
we
just-
dangerous? You
he
tell the
said-
people it's
she
dangerous
said,
now? What should they
basically.
do about the danger? And you say, I take no responsibility.
Let me talk about your two.
Excuse me, I take full responsibility.
Oh,
It's
shit.
not my fault that he came here. It's China's fault. And you know what? It's not
Oh,
Joe's
fuck,
fault
yeah,
that
of
he
course
came
it's
here
China's fault.
either.
Forgot about that
It's
Oh,
China's
shit.
fault. They kept it from going into the rest of China for the most part, but they didn't keep it from coming out to the world, including Europe and ourselves.
Vice President Biden.
The fact is that when we knew it was coming, when it hit, what happened? What did the president say? He said, don't worry, it's going to go away. Be gone by Easter. Don't worry. The warm weather. Don't worry. Maybe inject bleach.
Joe
He said
Biden,
he
you're
was
saying
kidding when he
this
said that.
again.
A lot of people thought it was
Bleach,
serious.
my
A whole range of things the president has said. Even today, he thinks we are in control. We're about to lose 200,000 more people.
President Trump.
Look, perhaps just to finish this, I was kidding on that, but just to finish this, when I closed, he said I shouldn't have closed. And that went on for months. Nancy Pelosi said the same thing. She was dancing on the streets in Chinatown in San Francisco. But when I closed, he said, this is a terrible thing, you're xenophobic. I think he called me racist even. And because I was closing it to China. Now he
Nancy
says I should have closed
Pelosi
it
dancing
earlier.
on the streets of
It
Chinatown.
just, Joe, it doesn't work.
I didn't say either of those things.
You
I didn't
certainly
say should
did.
have coerced,
You certainly
and I
did.
didn't.
Where's the
I
muting
talked
of the
about
mics?
xenophobia
No,
in
no,
a
the
different
muting of the mics
context.
is
It
only
wasn't
during the
about
first 2 minutes.
closing the border to
Oh, okay.
Chinese.
Now it's like a
United
debate
States.
All
part.
right, I want to talk about
Yeah,
both
so
of
like
your different
at the beginning of the
strategies to
topics, they
handle
thought
mute it
I
for,
shouldn't
they
have
each get
closed
two
the border.
uninterrupted
That's
minutes,
obvious.
and then they can just go free.
Is that, do you want to respond to that quickly, Vice President
No.
Biden? Okay. Let's talk about your different strategies toward dealing with this. Mr. Vice President, you suggested you would support new shutdowns if scientists recommended it. What do you say to Americans who are fearful that the cost of shutdowns, the impact on the economy, the higher rates of hunger, depression, domestic and substance abuse outweighs the risk of exposure to the virus?
What I would say is I'm going to shut down the virus, not the country. It's his ineptitude that caused the virus,
that's
caused
a
the
good
country
idea.
to have
Shut
to
down
shut
the
down
virus.
in large part.
Cancel it.
Why
Has anyone tried
businesses have gone
Alt F4 in
under,
the
why
virus yet?
schools are closed, why so
No,
many people
dude.
have lost their
Go
living,
COVID, you're
and why they're
canceled.
concerned.
Anyone ever
Those
try
other
a surrender
concerns are
vote
real.
with
That's
the
why he
COVID?
should have been, instead of in a sand trap in his golf course, he should have been negotiating with Nancy Pelosi and the
president, I
rest
would
of the
have canceled
Democrats
this
and
virus.
Republicans about
On
what
Twitter.
to do about the acts they were passing for
use
billions of
my
dollars to make
social
sure
media
people
powers to
had the
cancel it.
capacity.
But you haven't ruled out more shutdowns.
Well, no, I'm not shutting down the name, but there are, look, you need standards. The standard is if you have a reproduction rate in a community that's above a certain level, everybody
Too many babies,
says,
man.
slow
Everyone's
up.
reproducing too much.
More
You gotta slow
social
those-
distancing.
slow those babies down.
Do not open bars and do not open gymnasiums. Do not open until you get this under control, under more control. But when you do open,
only
give
old
the
people
people
call
the
them
capacity to be able to
gymnasiums. Prove
open
me
and have
wrong.
the capacity to do it safely. For example, schools.
I
Schools,
did.
they
You
need a
wanna
lot of
go
money
on
to
down
go.
to
They need to deal
gymnasium?
with ventilation systems. They need to deal with smaller classes, more
wrong.
teachers, more pods. And he's refused to support that
gymnasium.
money, or at least up to now.
Let's talk about schools.
Well,
President Trump,
I
you,
think we have to respond, if I might.
please, and then I have a follow-up.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. Look,
He's
all he
being
does
way
is
more
talk
cordial.
about
Trump's, like,
shutdowns,
acting
but
way
forget about
different.
him. His Democrat
I
governors,
appreciate
Cuomo in New York.
it.
You look at what's going on in California. You look at Pennsylvania, North
I
Carolina.
appreciate
Democrats all. They're shut down so tight, and they're dying. They're dying. And he supports all these people. All he talks about is shutdowns. No, we're not going to shut down, and we have to open our schools. And it's like, as an example, I have a young
Why
son.
do we have to
He
open our
also
schools?
Tested positive. By the time I spoke to the doctor the second time, he was fine. It just went away. Young people.
Yeah, he's
I
just
guess it's their
downplaying the
immune
virus.
system.
Let me
Yeah,
follow up with
but
you,
I think that
President
the
Trump.
thing
You've
that is
demanded
ignored about the
schools
young
open in
people is that
person
young
and
people
insist
spread
they can
it.
do it
Like
safely.
it's
But just
yeah, it's not gonna
yesterday,
kill them, but they're
Boston
the big
became
spreaders
the
of it.
latest city to
Spread,
move
yeah.
its
Especially
public
school is
system
like,
entirely online
the
after
spread
a
zone.
coronavirus spike. What
Like,
is your
kids are
message
gonna
to
go,
parents
like,
worried
kill their
that sending
family
their
members
children
on
to school
accident.
will endanger not only their kids but also their teachers and families?
I want to open the schools. The transmittal rate to the teachers is very small, but I want to open the schools. We have to open our country. We're not going to have a country.
Someone's blasting
You can't
music,
do
that's
this.
it.
We can't
We're
keep
not
this
gonna have a
country
country?
closed. This is a massive
Yeah, man. Kai,
country
you didn't
with
know
a
that?
massive economy.
If we close
People
down,
are losing their jobs. They're
if
committing
we do a
suicide.
lockdown for
There's
coronavirus,
depression,
we're actually
alcohol,
just
drugs
locking
at a
down the
level
U.S.
that nobody's
forever. It's
ever
gonna be
seen
gone.
before.
lose the
There's
US. I
abuse,
like you.
tremendous abuse.
Too
We
bad,
have to
man.
open our country. You know, I've
Damn,
said
okay,
it
well,
often. The
thanks,
cure
Trump. I didn't
cannot be
know.
worse than the
Hey,
problem
Caio, you're at
itself.
200% volume
That's
for me, but
what's
you're still a little
happening.
quiet,
And he wants
so you
to
know.
close down. He'll close down the country if one person in our
Sorry, I don't have my
massive
$10,000 microphone.
bureaucracy
Okay,
says we should
that
close
sounds
it
much
down.
better.
Vice President Biden, your
There we
response.
go. Let me know if
true.
it echoes
We ought to
again.
be able to walk and
Okay,
chew
no,
gum
it's
at
all
the
good
same
now.
time.
Like I think everything's fixed.
We ought to be able to safely open, but would they need resources to open? You need to be able to, for example, if you're going to open a business, have social distancing within the business. You need to have, if you have a restaurant, you need to have plexiglass dividers so people cannot infect one another. You need to be in a position where you can take testing rapidly and know whether a person is in fact infected. You need to be able to trace. You need to be able to provide all the resources that are needed to do this. And that is not inconsistent with saying that what we're going to make sure that we can open safely. And by the way, all you teachers out there, not that many of you are going to die, so don't worry about it. Come on.
President Trump, let me follow up with you quickly.
By the way, I will say this. If you
I
go
like
and look
Joe
at what's
Biden.
happened to New York, it's a ghost town. It's a ghost town. And when you talk
Yeah.
about plexiglass,
Isn't it-
these are
isn't, like,
restaurants
COVID doing
are
that or
dying.
whatever?
These are businesses
Yeah.
with no money. Putting
Yeah,
up plexiglass
you
is
give them money.
unbelievably expensive, and it's not the answer. I mean, you're going to sit there in a cubicle wrapped around with plastic. These are businesses that are dying, Joe. You can't do that to people. You
But you
just
can-
can't. Take a look at New York and what's happened to my wonderful city for so many years. I loved it. It
His
was
city?
vibrant.
I
It's
didn't know
dying.
that.
Everyone's leaving
Yeah, man.
New
You
York.
didn't know that
Take a
Trump
look at
bought
what
New York
York
City
has
in
done in terms of turning the
1983?
curve down in terms of the number
What a
of people dying.
patriot.
And I don't look at this in terms of the way he does. Blue states and red states. They're all the United States.
Oh,
and look
shit,
at the states that are
that's a good-
having
Hot
such a
take,
spike
bro.
in the coronavirus. They're the red states. They're the states in the Midwest. They're the states in the upper Midwest. That's where the spike is occurring significantly. But they're all Americans. They're all Americans. And what we have to do is say, wear these masks, number one. Make sure we get the help that the businesses need that has money's already been passed to do that. It's been out there since the beginning of the summer, and nothing's happened.
Uh-oh.
President, New York has
Mike has
lost
set down his
more than
headset by the mic.
40,000 people, 11,000 people in nursing homes.
President Trump, what
when you
about-
say spike, take a look at what's happening in Pennsylvania. where
Kendall,
they've had it
I
closed.
muted
Take
my mic.
a look at what's
And,
happening with your friend
I
in
put my
Michigan,
speaker on
where
so I
her
could hear it while I
husband's the
got
only
the
one
second
allowed
beer.
to do
I
anything.
muted my
It's
mic
been
for the
like a
stream,
prison.
so only you guys could
Now,
hear
it
the
was
echo.
just ruled unconstitutional.
okay.
Sorry about that.
Take a look at North Carolina. They're having spikes, and they've been closed, and they're getting killed financially. We can't let that happen.
Yeah,
Joe.
because you got to
can't let
help
that
us.
happen. We have to open up. And we understand the
Okay,
disease.
I'm gonna go
we
pee
have
too,
to
I'll make
sure you
protect our
guys also.
seniors. We have to protect our elderly. We have to protect especially our seniors with heart problems and diabetes problems. And we will protect them. We have the best testing in the world by far. That's why we have so many cases.
Let me follow up with you
Joe.
before we move on to our next section. President Trump, this week you called Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's best-known infectious disease expert, quote, a disaster. You described him and other medical experts as, quote, idiots. If you're not
Described him as a
who are you
complete
listening
meanie,
to as
Mr.
you write
President.
this?
I'm listening to all of them, including Anthony. I get along very well with Anthony. But
What?
he did say,
No, that's false.
wear masks. He did say,
Oh, Trump's
as
straight
you
up
know,
lies, bro.
this is not going to be a problem. I think he's a Democrat, but that's okay. He said this is not going to be a problem. We are not going to have a problem at all. When Joe says that,
Wait, what?
I said, Anthony Fauci said, and others, and many
This is
others.
a lie,
and I'm
'cause
not
Anthony
knocking
Fauci's
him
come
about-
out
Nobody knew. Look,
with
nobody
different
knew what
stories.
this thing was. Nobody knew where it was coming from, what it was. We've learned a lot. But Anthony said, don't wear masks. Now he wants to wear masks. Anthony also said, if you look back, exact words, here's his exact words. This is no problem. This is going to go away soon. So he's allowed to make mistakes. He happens to be a good person.
Guys, did you hear that?
Vice
Anthony
President
Fauci
Biden,
might be a
your response
Democrat,
quickly,
though.
and then we're going to move on to the
it doesn't
next
matter what he
section.
does.
Yeah, no,
Response is
that
think
kind of
about
changes
what the
everything for
president
me.
knew in January and didn't
I'm
tell
like
the
keeping
American
track
people.
of Trump's lies. It's
He was
rough.
told this was a serious virus that spread in the air, and it was much worse than the flu. He went on
We're talking
record
way
and
worse.
said to one of your colleagues,
Yeah.
recorded, that in fact he knew how dangerous it was, but he didn't want to tell us. He didn't want to tell us because
Yeah,
he
that's
didn't
been
want us to
proven
panic.
already.
He didn't want us. Americans don't panic. He panicked. But guess what? In the meantime, we find out in the New York
Yeah, we don't
Times the other
panic.
day that in fact
No, man,
his
I'm
folks
calm
and
basically
collected.
said this is a really dangerous
We,
thing.
we
panic,
don't
though.
we don't
And a
rush
lot
to
of
go
that
buy
meeting,
toilet
not
paper
from
when
his
lockdown
administration,
happens.
but from some of the brokers said sell short because we got to get moving. It's a dangerous problem.
Well, this is
I'm going
one
to give you
this
30
is one I
seconds to
haven't-
respond, and then we're
The
going
Wall
to
Street
move
one,
on.
I don't know. Somebody went to Wall Street. You're the one that takes all the money from Wall Street. I don't take it. You have raised a lot of money, tremendous amounts of money. And every time you raise money, deals are made, Joe. I could raise so much more money. As president and as somebody that knows most of those people, I could call the heads of Wall Street, the heads of every company in America. I would blow away every record, but I don't want to do that because it puts me in a bad position. And then you bring up Wall Street. You shouldn't be bringing up Wall Street because you're the one that takes the money from Wall Street, not me. I could blow away your records that like you wouldn't believe. We don't need
Do
money.
it,
We have
kid.
plenty of money. In fact,
Bet.
we beat Hillary Clinton with a tiny fraction of the money that she was able
All right, gentlemen, we're going to
Don't
move
tell me
on.
about Wall
Average
Street.
We're gonna-
contribution, $43.
All right, we're going to move on to our next section, which is national security. And I do want to start with the security of our elections and some breaking news from overnight. Just last
on,
night, top intelligence
I'm
officials
going to pause real
confirmed
quick. All right, so we just did topic 1. I just want to get everyone's topic 1 takes.
I think Trump's using the same exact arguments he always has. I just feel like Biden says something and then Trump just moves to counteract that, and like anybody who doesn't do the research is just gonna not know who's telling the truth.
Caio, what do you think about Act 1 so far?
I mean, I like how it's been more quiet, but other than that,
I do agree with
I'm not
that.
really surprised by anything.
Yo, I think that this is worse for Trump. I think that Trump not steamrolling is actually like in an actual debate that's more civil, he doesn't perform as well. Like to me, like he made it, like he looked like an ass last time, but I think he was able to throw
That's
Biden
what
off his
base
game a little
love,
better.
though.
Is him looking like an ass? Yeah, exactly. So like I don't know if his base is going to be fired up about this performance. All right, we can get back
I don't
into
know
it.
why on earth. I don't know why on earth he bragged about the whole Wall Street thing. I'm like, I know all these guys. I'm friends with all of them, and I'm like, wait, aren't they the bad guys? Was that the take?
Yeah. All right.
No,
let's-
no, and then Trump was also bad talking China.
Yeah,
And,
that's his talking point though. Instead of like the coronavirus
Yeah, I
being
know,
any
but,
fault of
like,
his own, it's all China's fault.
Gosh, this is ridiculous because, like, what? Just a couple days ago, like, it's been revealed he has a Chinese bank account that he's paid more taxes with. You read about that?
Yeah, I saw that. I wonder if they'll bring it up. All right, let's see.
again that both Russia and Iran are working to influence this election. Both countries have obtained
Iran?
U.S. voter registration
Yeah.
information.
Who-
these
whose side is
officials
Iran
say,
on? Probably not
and Iran
Trump's,
sent
huh?
intimidating messages to
Probably
Florida
not ours.
voters.
They
This
kinda like
question
bomb the
goes
shit
to
out of
Mr.
them.
Vice President. What would you do
Iran probably
to
likes
put
Biden
an
more.
end to
I don't
this
know.
threat? You have
Trump
2
did
minutes
kill Iran,
uninterrupted.
Soleimani, who was
I
like
made
an
it
Iranian
clear,
general, right?
and I ask everyone else to take the pledge. I made it clear that any country, no matter who it is, that interferes in American elections will pay a price.
Precisely.
They will
I
pay
agree
a
with
We'll
price.
you.
feel the
It's
American
been
wrath.
overwhelmingly clear
Yes.
this election. I won't even get into the last one. This election,
Bomb Russia.
Russia has been involved. China has been involved to some degree, and now we learn that Iran is involved. They will
Iran,
pay a price
mister.
if I'm elected. They're interfering with American sovereignty. That's what's going on right now. They're interfering with American sovereignty. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't think the president said anything to Putin about it. I don't think he's stalking them a lot. I don't think he said a word. I don't know why he hadn't said a word to Putin about it. And I don't know what he has recently said, if anything, to the Iranians. My guess is he'd probably be more outspoken with regard to the Iranians. But the point is this, folks. We are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, well, I will. his buddy, Rudy Giuliani. He's
I like
being
that.
used as a Russian
Ooh, his
pawn.
buddy.
He's being fed information that is Russian,
This is
that is
true.
not true. And then what happens? Nothing happens. And then you find out
shit.
that
When you hit someone with the
everything that's
nothing
going
happens.
on here about Russia is wanting to make sure that I do not get elected the next president of the United States because they know I know them and they know me. I don't understand
Here, I'm gonna
why
pause.
this president is
You
unwilling
guys,
to take on.
did you guys hear about the Rudy Giuliani Borat 2
Yes.
controversy?
Did you hear about that, Kyle?
What?
I think kind of you can explain it if you want to get into it. For
Did
a
you
second.
hear? Did you hear about the Rudy Giuliani controversy with the Borat 2, the Borat sequel?
No, I didn't. I didn't look into it at all.
Well, they went and they interviewed. There's a clip out right now, but they went and interviewed Rudy Giuliani and pretended to have a real interview with him, and they kept their cameras on. And Rudy Giuliani went into a hotel room with one of the ladies.
An actress who was portrayed to Rudy Giuliani as being underage, but who was actually
As being
23.
underage.
And then it's just him
Yeah.
playing with his junk on a
Yeah,
bed with her.
he started playing with his junk and staring at her. And the Borat comes in and he's like, dude, she's 18. She's too old for you.
Oof.
I'm excited for
Wait,
Borat too.
they caught him on camera?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's dropping either today or tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tonight probably. It's 23rd, so probably tonight. Probably right after this. Borat 2 will be streamable.
Yeah, and Rudy Giuliani is probably shitting his pants. Anyways, we can continue.
Putin, when he's actually bounties to kill American soldiers in Afghanistan, when he's engaged in activities that are trying to destabilize all of NATO. I don't know why he doesn't do it, but it's worth asking the question, why isn't that being done? Any country that interferes with us will, in fact, pay a price because they're affecting our sovereignty.
President Trump, same question to you.
have to
Let me
respond.
You
ask
won't
the
like me
question. We're
when I
going to
don't
have
have
2
my
minutes to
freedom.
respond. For 2 elections in a row now, there has been substantial interference from foreign adversaries. What would you do in your next term to put an end to this? 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Well, let me respond to the first part as Joe
No.
answered. Joe got $3.5 million from Russia, and it came through Putin because he was very friendly with the
What?
former mayor
It's all
of
just
Moscow, who was the
projection,
mayor of
dude.
Moscow's wife, and you got $3.5 million. Your family got
See, here's the
$3.5
thing, is his base is
million,
gonna eat this up.
Someday you're
You
going
know
to have
that,
to
right?
explain
Yeah,
why
but
did you get
nothing
3.5?
mattered.
I never
His
got any
base
money
isn't
from Russia. I don't get
his
money
base
from
is
Russia.
going to be his base no
Now,
matter what. I
about
don't
Yeah,
think
well,
you're like an important
I
elected
knew
right
all
now.
about that. And
undecided
through
people are going to be on
John,
this with this
who
too.
was John Ratcliffe, who was fantastic, DNI.
Who's
he said,
undecided, dude? I still don't
the one
believe it.
thing
I don't
that's
believe they exist.
common to both of them, they both want you to lose because there has been nobody
That's,
tougher
really
to
close.
Russia. Between the sanctions, nobody tougher than me on Russia. Between the
But
sanctions,
I thought he was best friends with
between
Putin.
all of
You
what
got-
I've done with
you
NATO,
gotta
you know, I've
choose
got
one,
the
fam.
NATO countries to put up an extra 130 billion, going to 420 billion dollars a year. That's to guard against Russia. I sold, while he was selling pillows and sheets, I sold tank busters to Ukraine. There has been nobody tougher on Russia than Donald Trump. And I'll tell
That's
you, they
false.
were so bad. They took over
He even
the
lifted
submarine
sanctions
fort.
on Russia
You
a
remember
few years
that very
ago.
well. During your
If you guys remember
term,
that.
during you and Barack
Damn, I don't,
Obama,
but-
they took over a big
No, he's
part
lifted-
of
he-
what
he's
should have
eased
been
on sanctions
Ukraine.
with
You
Russia.
handed it to them,
I believe
but you
it.
were getting a lot of money from Russia. They were paying you a lot of money, and they probably still are. But now, with what came out today,
Oh my
it's
God,
even
I can't
worse.
stand this
All
stuff.
of the emails, the horrible emails of the kind of money that you were raking
He's
in,
trying to
you
pull a
and your
Hillary
family.
right now.
And Joe, you were vice president when some of this was happening, and it should
Yeah,
have
and
never
you were
happened.
president
And
when you
I think
colluded
you
with
owe an
Russia.
explanation to the American people. Why is it somebody just had a news conference a little while ago who was essentially supposed to work with you and your family, but what he said was damning.
This
and
is just gaslighting.
regardless of me, I think you have to
Gaslighting
clean it
the
up
people.
and talk to the American people. Maybe you can do it right now.
Oh my God, I
Vice
hate
President
this.
Biden, you may respond. 30
These three
seconds.
here.
And then I do want to follow up on the election security.
I have not taken a penny from any foreign source ever in my life. We learned that this president paid 50 times the tax in China, has a secret bank account with China, does business in China, and in fact is talking about me taking money. I have not taken a single penny from any country whatsoever, ever. Number one. Number two, This is a president. I have released all of my tax returns. 22 years. Go look at them. 22 years of my tax return. You have not released a single solitary year of your tax return. What are you hiding? Why are you unwilling? The foreign countries are paying you a lot. Russia's paying you a lot. China's paying you a lot.
See,
and your hotels,
people who are
all your
undecided are just going
businesses
to be
all around the
confused.
country, all around the world. And China's building a new road to a new a golf course you have overseas. So what's going on here? Why don't release your tax return or stop talking about corruption?
President Trump, your response.
First of all, I called my accountants, underwrote it. I'm going to release them as soon as we can. I want to do it. And
He
it'll
said that
show
4 years ago.
Successful, how great
He's
this
been saying
company
that
is.
for
But
forever,
much more importantly than that, people were saying $750. I asked them a week ago, I said, what did I pay? They said, sir, you prepaid tens of millions of dollars. I prepaid my tax. Tens over the last number of years.
So what did you pay, though?
Tens of
What did you
millions
pay?
of dollars I prepaid.
He's coming up with
because
numbers.
at some point
You're
they
right,
think
Caio.
it's an estimate. They think I may have
He's
to pay
lying.
tax. So I already prepaid it. Nobody
think I
told me
may
that.
have
Did your
to.
accountant
Nobody
tell you
told
when
you
you
that.
could release
Excuse
them?
me. And it wasn't written whenever they write this. They keep talking about $750.
Did you just shut
which
her
I think
up?
is a filing fee.
You
Let
shut her
me just
up,
tell
yeah.
you, I
Hard.
prepaid millions and millions of dollars in taxes. Number one. Number two, I don't make money from China. You do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do. I don't make money
This
from
is, dude,
Russia.
these are good tactics. Just being like,
You
I
make
don't do it, you
$3.5
do.
million,
No, you.
Joe.
Yeah,
and your son
exactly.
gave you.
It's all
they
about
even
you.
have a statement that we have to give 10% to the
No,
big
you.
man. You're the big man, I think.
No,
I don't know. Maybe you're not, but you're the big man, I think. Your son said we have to give 10% to the big man.
I think.
Joe, what's that all about? It's terrible.
Yo,
All right,
Trump
gentlemen,
is
I want to
admitted to being
ask you
little
both
man.
some questions
I have to
about all of this,
respond to
but
that.
I'm going to let you both respond very quickly. You just said you spoke to your accountant
Yes.
about potentially releasing your taxes. Did he tell you when you can release them? Do you
As
have a
soon as the audit is
deadline for
finished.
when you're going to release
I
them?
How
get
long is this
treated
audit? This audit's been
worse
going
than the
on
Tea
for like
Party got
7
treated.
years.
Because
you
I have a
don't
lot
have
of
the time.
people in there,
Seriously.
deep down in the IRS, they treat me horribly. We made a deal, it was all settled until I decide to run for president. I get treated very
yeah.
badly by the IRS, very unfairly.
Yeah, because
But
you don't pay your
we had a deal
taxes.
all done. As soon as we're completed with the deal, I want to release it, but I have paid
want to,
millions
but-
and millions of dollars, and it's worse than paying. I paid in advance. It's called prepaying your taxes. I paid in advance.
I want to ask you both about questions regarding your potential foreign entanglements and questions that have been raised to give you both a chance
Some
to
point
talk
I'll
about
respond
this
to
more
this.
broadly. Respond very quickly, and then I'll get to my question.
Why did he's been saying this for 4 years? Show us. Just show us. Stop playing
Where are they
around.
at, though?
You've been saying for 4 years
Everybody
you're going to
knows.
release your taxes. Nobody knows it, Mr. President. What they do know is you're not paying your taxes, or you're paying taxes that are so low. When last time he said what he paid, he said, I only pay that little because I'm smart. I know how to game the system. Come on. Come on, folks.
Very
So
quickly, President Trump, and then I want to get to two questions to both of you on this.
I was put through a phony witch hunt for 3 years.
Oh.
It
The phony witch
started
hunt.
before I even got elected. They spied on my campaign. No president should ever have to go through what I went through. Let me just say this. Mueller and 18 angry Democrats and FBI agents all over the place spent $48 million. They went through everything I had, including my tax returns, and they found
And they couldn't even
absolutely
prove
no
that I'm a
collusion
crook.
and nothing wrong.
I'm a pretty
48
good
million.
crook.
I
I'm a
guarantee you, if
good
I
crook. They
spent
can't-
1 million
they don't
on
know
you,
I'm a
Joe,
crook.
I
That
could
makes me
find
easy.
plenty
Catch me,
wrong.
bro.
Because
All
the
right.
kind of things that you've done and the kind of monies that your family has taken. I mean, your brother made money in
Monies.
Iraq,
Good
millions
term.
of dollars. Your other brother made a fortune, and it's all through you, Joe. And they say you get some of it, and you do live very well. You have houses all over the place. You live
He's a
very
vice
well.
president.
All right,
No
gentlemen,
shit.
let me just ask some questions about all of this broadly. Vice President Biden, there have been questions about the work your son has done in China and for a Ukrainian energy company when you were vice president. In retrospect, was anything about those relationships inappropriate or unethical?
Was any
Nothing
of that
was
shit
unethical.
sus?
Here's what the deal.
Well,
With
Your
regard
Honor.
to Ukraine, we had this whole question about whether or not, because he was on the board, I later learned of a Burisma, a company, that somehow I had done something wrong. Yet every single solitary person, when he was going through his impeachment, testifying under oath who worked for him, said, I did my job impeccably. I carried out U.S. policy.
job good.
Not one
You know what
single
Joe Biden should do
solitary
here
thing
instead
was
of
out of line.
what
Not a
the
single
he should
thing.
attack
Number one.
Trump for
two,
putting his
the guy
family
who
in
got in
positions
trouble
of
in
power.
Ukraine was this guy trying to bribe
Like the fact that like
the Ukrainian
Ivanka
government
and
to
Jared
say something
Kushner
negative
have
about
like
me,
political
which
power
they
now,
would
and
not
like
do and did not do.
just like
because
all
it
his children
never,
are gaining
ever
from
happened.
his
My
thing.
son
'Cause
has
there's
not
no doubt that
made
Hunter
money
Biden, like
in terms
Hunter
of
Biden
this
got
thing
that
about,
job because he's Joe Biden's
what are you
son,
talking about?
you know?
China.
But he should
I
just
have
hit
not
Trump back
had
with
it. The
like
only guy
the
that
same
made
thing,
money from
basically.
China is this guy. He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China.
Never
President
to
Trump,
deal with
let me,
China.
let me
By the
ask
way,
my question to you.
But
and
could
then
I just
you'll-
one thing?
No,
Very
no,
good.
no,
son
no, ma'am. No.
Didn't have a job for a long time, was sadly no longer in the military service. I won't get into that. And he didn't
Yeah,
have a
'cause he
job.
died.
As soon
His
as he
other son was
became
in the
vice
military.
president,
Are
Burisma,
we-
not the best,
seriously, are
not
we
the
on Section
best
2 still?
No, so is
reputation in the
Hunter.
world.
So is Hunter.
I hear they paid him 183.
Well, Hunter was also in the military.
A month.
Yeah, he was
Listen to
discharged for
this.
testing positive for cocaine.
183, and they gave him a $3
dishonorably
million
discharged?
upfront payment.
All right.
No, he was,
And he had
he
no
was just,
energy.
I'm going to
no,
let
he
the Vice
discharged.
President
That's
respond to that quickly,
100%
and then I need to get to a
dishonest.
question to you. Very
No
quickly, Mr.
basis
Vice
for that. Everybody investigated that. No one said anything he did was wrong in Ukraine.
Okay, President Trump, this is for you. Since you took office, you've never divested from your business. You've personally promoted your properties abroad. A report this week, which was referenced, does indicate that your company has a bank account in China. So how can voters
Yes,
know that
here we
you
go.
don't have any foreign conflicts of interest?
I have many bank accounts, and they're all listed, and they're all over the place. I mean, I
I'm a
was a
millionaire,
businessman
fam.
doing business. The bank
heard
account
he's,
you're
like, in
referring
crazy
to,
debt.
which is everybody knows about it, it's listed.
I think he owes the
bank
government like
account
400
was
million
in
or something like that, if I remember correctly.
2013.
Anything I say
That's
on
what
this
it was. It was
podcast, don't
open to
take
do-
it as fact.
It was
like, do your own
closed in
research. This is just my, like,
2015,
shitty
I
memory.
believe. And then
Yeah.
I
Just
decided,
disclaimer.
because I was thinking about doing a deal in China like millions of other people. I was thinking about it, and I decided I'm not going to do it. Didn't like it. I decided not to do it. Had an account open, and I closed it.
Okay.
Excuse me. And then, unlike him, where he's vice
can't do
president
that.
and
Don't
he
do
does
that.
business, I
Excuse
then
me.
decided to run for president after that. That was before. So I closed it before I even ran for president, let alone became president. Big difference. He is the vice president of the United
Dick's
States.
big difference.
And his
You know
son,
how it is.
his brother, and his other brother are getting rich. They're like a vacuum cleaner. They're sucking
Okay,
up money every
President Trump,
place he
thank you.
goes.
We do
Not
need to
true.
move on. I do want to ask you, Vice President Biden, about China. Let's talk about China more broadly. There have, of course, President Trump has said that they should pay for not being fully transparent in regards to the coronavirus. If you were president, would you make China pay? And please be specific. What would that look like?
What I'd make China do is play by the international rules, not like he has done. He has caused the deficit of China to go up, not down, with China, up, not down. We are making sure that in order to do business in China, you have to give all your intellectual property. You have to have a partner in China. It's 51%. We would not do that at all, number one. Number two, we're in a situation where China would have to play by the rules internationally as well. When I met with Xi, when I was still vice president, he said we're setting up air identification zones in the South China Sea. You can't fly through them. I said we're going to fly through them. We just flew B-52, B-1
Yeah,
bombers through
he
it.
said
We're
no,
not
I
going to
said
pay
no, we
attention.
are.
They have to play by the rules. And
We
what's
said-
he do?
he said no, I said
he
no, you.
embraces guys like the thugs
Just
like
saying,
in
bro.
North
And
Korea
now who can fly through China
and the
Sea now?
Chinese president and Putin and others, and he pokes his finger in the eye of all of our friends, all of our allies. We make up we're 25% of the world's economy. We need to be having the rest of our friends with us saying to China, these are the rules. You play by them or you're going to pay the price for not paying by them economically.
Ooh, you pay the
That's the way
price.
I will run it, and that's what we did in upholding
pay
steel
the
tariffs
price,
and a range of other
folks.
things when we were president and vice president.
All right, let's talk about North Korea.
Excuse me, no, I have to
Yes.
respond to that.
Okay, very quickly, and then
Why
we're
did
going to
they
move on
allow
to
us
With
to
$1.5
North
make
Korea.
billion from
No,
China
oh
my
after
God.
spending 10 minutes in
I
office
get
and
so
being in
mad that
Air
Donald
Force
Trump
Two.
just gets to run
Number one.
this
Number two.
conversation.
There was
No,
a
I
very
think it's fair. I think
strong
I
email
think
talking
he's
about
actually like
your
playing by the
family
rules
wanting
better
to
this
make
time.
$10 million a year.
I think he can
for
respond if he wants, and
introductions.
then
President
Biden can
Trump, on
respond.
China policy, though,
They're-
what
they're
specifically
moving.
are you going to do? What specifically
Yeah,
are you going
she is
to
the
do
best
to
moderator
make
we've
China
had so
pay? You
far.
said
She's
you're
not
gonna make
letting
them
them.
pay.
China
Yeah.
is paying.
Just
They're paying
turn,
billions
man.
and billions
Like-
of dollars. I just
New
gave $28 billion.
sanctions? New sanctions?
I just gave $28 billion to our farmers.
Taxpayers'
Because China,
money. Taxpayers' money. Didn't
No,
come
no,
from
yeah,
shit.
China.
no, the
That was the
taxpayers.
first
It's
interruption,
called
though.
China.
Oh, wait, no, we're in open
China
discussion.
paid
Never mind.
28 billion, and you know what they did to pay it, Joe? They devalued their currency, and they also paid up. And you know who got the money? Our farmers, our great farmers, because they were targeted. You never charged them anything. Also, I charged them 25% on dumped steel because they were killing our steel industry. We were not going to have a steel industry.
Okay.
And now we have a steel
Okay,
industry.
Vice President Biden, your response, please.
Our response is, look, this isn't about, there's a reason why he's bringing up all this malarkey. There's a reason for it.
Malarkey,
He doesn't
good-
want to talk
Biden
about
likes that
the
word.
su-
That
the
just looks
substantive
like,
issues. It's not about his family and
one
my
of the words
family.
in
It's about your
his,
family.
like, repertoire that he
and your
uses
family's
often.
hurting badly.
He's
If
dating
you're making
himself,
less
dude.
than, if you're a
Yeah,
middle-class
folks in
family,
malarkey is
you're
dating himself
getting
for sure.
hurt badly right now. You're sitting at the kitchen table this morning deciding, well, we can't get new tires, they're bald because we have to wait another month or so. Or are we going to be able to pay the mortgage? Or who's going to tell her she can't go back to community college? They're the decisions you're making in the middle-class families
I
like
think
grew up
Biden
in
talking to the
Scranton,
camera
Claremont.
still is like his best
They're in
tactic,
trouble.
honestly.
We should be
Yeah.
talking about your families, but that's the last thing he wants to talk about.
I want
That is a
to talk
typical
about
statement.
North Korea.
Excuse me, just
I do
for
want
1
to turn
second,
to
please.
10 seconds, Mr. President.
That's
10
a
seconds.
typical political statement. Let's get off this China thing, and then he looks, the family, around the table, everything. Just a typical politician when I see that.
Let's talk
I'm
about
not
North
a typical
Korea now.
politician.
Okay,
That's why I
President
got elected.
I'm not
Now,
like the
let's
other
talk-
girls.
Let's get off the subject of China. Let's talk around, sitting around the table.
All right.
Come on, Joe, you can do better.
We're going to talk about North Korea now. President Trump, you've met with North Korean leader
Okay,
Kim Jong-un
dude, yeah,
3 times.
she's
You've
in
talked
that.
about your beautiful letters with him.
She
You've
is
touted
not
the
letting
fact that there hasn't
Trump
been
run
a
her
war or a
run the
long-range
show.
missile test.
She's doing way
And yet
better
North
than
Korea
either of the other
recently
debate
rolled out
moderators
its
against
biggest
like
ever
both
intercontinental
VP
ballistic
and
missile and
Chris
continues
Wallace
to
for the
develop
V,
its
the P.
nuclear arsenal. Do
it's
you
called-
see
what they
that
call
as a
bad bitch
betrayal
energy.
of the relationship you
No.
forged? Just 30 seconds here because we need to get on to the next.
So when I met with Barack Obama, we sat in the White House right at the beginning.
met with
had
Barack
a great conversation. It was
Obama.
supposed to be 15 minutes, and it was well over an hour.
Not a different Barack?
He said the biggest problem we have with North Korea.
No, dude,
He indicated
you
we
have to
will
make
be
sure
in
they
a
know
war
it's
with North
Barack
Korea. Guess what? It would be a
Obama.
nuclear war, and he does have plenty
that
of
everyone,
nuclear
gets the,
capability.
that's a
In the meantime,
odd-sounding
I have a
name.
very good relationship with him. Different kind of a guy, but he probably thinks the same thing about me. We have a different kind of a relationship. We have a very good relationship, and there's no war. And you know, about 2 months ago, he broke into a certain area. They said, oh, there's going to be trouble. I said, no, they're not, because he's not going to do that. And I was right. Look, instead of being in a war where millions of people, Seoul, you know, is 25 miles away, millions and millions, 32 million people in Seoul, millions of people would be
Okay.
dead right now.
President
we
Trump,
don't have
that's
a war,
30
and I have a
seconds.
good
Thank
relationship.
you. Vice President Biden, to you. North Korea conducted
Hard.
4 nuclear tests under the Obama administration. Why do you think you would be able to rein in this persistent threat right
Because I'd make it clear, which we were making clear to China, they had to be part of the deal. Because here's I made it clear, and as a spokesperson of the
deal,
administration
China.
when I went to China, that they said, "Why are you moving your missile defense up so close? Why are you moving more forces here? Why are you continuing to do military maneuvers with South Korea?" I said, "Because North Korea is a problem, and we're going to continue to do it so we can control them.
facts.
We're going to
North Korea
make
is a
sure we can
problem.
control them and make sure they cannot hurt us. And so if you want to do something about it, step up and help. If not, it's going to continue." What has he done? He's legitimized North Korea. He's talked about his good buddy, who's a thug, and he talks about how
thug.
we're better off. And they
verify.
are
Is he
much
calling
more
Kim?
capable
Wait, did he just call
missiles,
Kim Jong Un a thug?
able to reach U.S. territory much more easily than ever did before.
Let me follow up with you, Vice President Biden. You've said you wouldn't meet with Kim Jong-un without preconditions. Are there any conditions under which you would meet with him?
On the condition that he would agree that he would be drawing down his nuclear capacity to get the Korean Peninsula should be nuclear-free zone.
All right, let's
No
move
guns
on
at the
to
duel.
American
Kristen,
families.
they tried
Very
to
quickly,
meet with
10
him.
seconds,
They
President.
tried to meet with him. He wouldn't do it. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like him. He wouldn't do it.
Okay,
He
I
didn't
gotta
like
give him a
Obama. They
chance to
tried.
respond to that
He
before we
wouldn't
move
do
on.
it.
You
And
know,
that's
I-
okay. You know what, North Korea, we're not in a war. We have a good relationship. You know, people don't understand. Having a good
President
relationship
Trump,
with
we have
leaders
to
of
move
other
on because
countries
we have
is
a lot
a
of
good thing.
we have a lot of questions to get
Yes,
to.
not
That's
Your
like
response.
saying we had a good relationship with Hitler before he, in fact, invaded
Oh,
the rest
shit.
of Europe. Come on.
Good shit.
The reason he would not meet with
Fuck,
President Obama.
that
is
was
because
rad.
President
That was
Obama said,
that was
"We're gonna
okay.
talk
That
about
that might be my highlight, Joe
denuclearization.
Biden,
We're not
right
gonna
now for the night.
legitimize
That's
you.
my
We're gonna
favorite,
Continue
dude.
to put stronger and stronger
On savage mode.
sanctions on you.
Here, let me-
That's why he wouldn't meet with us.
All right,
And it
let's
didn't
move
happen.
on. Let's
Excuse
move on
me.
and talk
He
about
left
American
me a
families.
mess, Kristen.
President Trump, okay, we do
They
need to move on.
left me a mess. North Korea was a mess.
We
And
need
in
to
fact,
don't
move
if
on.
you
stand up for
remember
yourself,
the first
man.
2
All
or
of
3
our
months,
questions tonight,
there was a
President
very
Trump.
dangerous period in my first 3 months before we sort of worked things out a little bit.
Okay.
There was a very they
I like that.
left
That was
us
rad.
a mess, and Obama would be, I think, the first to say it was the single biggest
think the
problem
first
he
to
thought
say. I'm not
that
sure,
our
though.
country.
Okay, let's move on to American families and the economy.
Yeah.
One of the issues that's most important to them is health care, as you both know. Today, there was a key vote on a new Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett, and health care is at the center of
I
her
guess so.
confirmation
I'm not a
fight.
huge
Over 20 million Americans get their health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. It's headed to the Supreme Court,
Damn,
and
bro,
your
almost 10%
administration,
of
Mr. President, is
Americans? Wow.
advocating for the court to overturn it. If the
Sounds
Supreme
important,
Court
don't it?
does overturn that law, those 20 million Americans could lose their health insurance almost overnight. So what would you do if those people have their health insurance taken away? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Sure. First of all, I've already done something that nobody thought was
Suck it up,
possible.
pledge.
Through the legislature, I terminated the individual mandate. That is the worst part of Obamacare, as we call it. The individual mandate where you have to pay a fortune for the privilege of not having to pay for bad health insurance. I terminated. It's gone. Now it's in court because Obamacare is no good. But then I made a decision. Run it as well as you can to my people, great people. Run it as well as you can. I could have gone the other route and made everybody very unhappy. They ran it. Premiums are down. Everything's down. Here's the problem. No matter how well you run it, it's no good. What we'd like to do is terminate it. We have the individual mandate done. I don't know that it's going to work. If we don't win, we will have to run it, and we'll have Obamacare, but it'll be better run. But it no longer is Obamacare, because without the individual mandate, it's much different. Pre-existing conditions will always stay. What I would like to do is a much better health care, much better, will always protect people with pre-existing. So I'd like to terminate Obamacare, come up with a brand new, beautiful health care. The Democrats will do it because there'll be tremendous pressure on them, and we might even have the House by that time, and I think we're going to win the House.
Savage
Okay,
mode.
you'll see, but I think we're going to win the House. But come up with a better health care, always protecting people with pre-existing conditions. And one thing very important, we have 180 million people out there that have great private health care. Far more than we're talking about with Obamacare. Joe Biden is going to terminate all of those policies. These are people that love their health care, people that have been successful, middle-income people,
They
been
love
successful.
their health
They have
care.
180 million plans, 180 million people, families, under what he wants to do, which will basically be socialized medicine. He won't even have a choice. They want to terminate 180 million plans. We have done an incredible job on health care, and we're going to do even better.
Okay,
Let me
Vice
respond.
President Biden, yes, this is for you. Your health care plan calls for building on Obamacare. So my question is, what is your plan if the law is ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
What I'm going to do is pass Obamacare with a public option. It'll become Biden care. The public option is an option that
Biden
says
care,
that
Biden
if you, in
care.
fact, do not have the wherewithal to be, if you qualify for Medicaid and you do not have the wherewithal in your state to get Medicaid, you automatically are enrolled, providing competition
He
for
did it, bro.
insurance companies.
He answered a question.
That's what's going to happen. Secondly, we're going to make sure we reduce the
Biden
premiums
1,
and
Trump
reduce
0.
drug prices by making sure that there's competition that doesn't exist now, by allowing the Medicare to negotiate drug prices with the insurance companies. Thirdly, the idea that I want to eliminate private insurance, the reason why I had such a fight with 20 candidates for the nomination was I support private insurance. That's why I did not one single person with private
Yo,
insurance
fuck private insurance.
would lose their insurance under my plan, nor did they under Obamacare.
Straight up,
They
fuck-
did not lose
fuck
their
private insurance. Private
unless
insurance
they
is shitty.
chose they wanted to go to something
Name one
Yeah, I know
person
it.
who
Lastly,
likes private
we're
insurance.
going to make sure we're in a
honestly.
situation that
Well,
we
Switzerland
actually
has like
protect
the best,
pre-existing.
like
There's
some of
no
the best
way he
healthcare in
can
the
protect
world, and they have
pre-existing
like a
conditions.
public-private
None, zero.
healthcare
You can't
system,
do it
which
in
like
the
makes a
ether.
lot of sense.
He's been
It's
talking
pretty much
about
like
this
what
for a
Biden's
long
trying to push
time.
through, and I'm like,
There is
yeah, okay,
no,
that's
he's
good.
never
But
come
this
up with
is
a plan.
I mean, I
guess
like
we're
going
having
in
a
the
public
right
option.
pre-existing
I do like
condition
that,
plan
but
the same time we get the
I hate
infrastructure
private.
plan.
As
that
someone who's
we
had
waited
private
since
insurance my whole life,
17,
I hate
18,
it.
19, and 20. The fact, I still have a few more minutes. I know you're getting anxious. The fact is that He's already cost the American people because of his terrible handling of the COVID virus and the economic spillover.
The COVID
10 million
virus?
people
But that's
have
a new
lost
one.
their private
It's the
insurance.
coronavirus,
And he wants
sir?
to take away 22 million more people who have it under Obamacare and over 110 million people with pre-existing conditions. And all the people from COVID are going to have pre-existing conditions. What are they going to do?
I have a follow-up
Oh,
for you,
shit,
Vice President Biden. It
that's
relates to
a
something
fact.
that President Trump said.
That's
He's
like actually
accusing
true,
you
like
of wanting
because the
socialized
lung
medicine.
scarring
What
that a lot of
do you
people
say
get
to
after
people
COVID.
who have concerns that your health care
Yeah,
plan, which
COVID
includes
has
the government
long-lasting
insurance option,
effects,
takes
especially
the
on the
country
heart,
one
too.
step closer
Oh, I
to a
didn't know
healthcare
about that,
system
actually.
run entirely by
Yeah,
the
it
government?
damages your
Let's
heart
say
and your
it's
lungs.
ridiculous. It's like saying
And your
that,
cardiovascular system, basically.
Oh,
the
shit.
idea that the fact that there's a public option.
And yeah,
that
even
people
if you're
can
young, you're
choose,
going to have permanent
that
damage.
makes it a socialist plan. Look, the difference between the president, I
COVID's
think healthcare
serious.
is
Yeah,
not
man,
a
I don't want
privilege,
to
it's
get
a
that
right.
shit. That's why
Everyone should have
stay
the right
safe.
to have affordable health care. And I am very proud of
when
my
he says,
plan.
like,
It's
oh,
gotten
yeah,
endorsed
socialist thing,
by
I'm kinda like, ooh,
all
what?
the major labor unions as well as
Are we,
a
are we,
whole range of
are
other people who, in
we
fact, are
making plays
concerned
now?
in the medical field. This is something that's going to save people's lives, and this is going to give some people an opportunity to have health care for their children. How many of you home are worried and rolling around in bed tonight wondering what in God's name you're going to do if you get sick?
I am rolling around in bed
Because
right
you've
now.
lost your home insurance, your health insurance, your company's gone under. We have to provide health insurance for people at an affordable rate, and that's what I do.
President Trump,
Excuse me, he was
your
there
response.
for 47 years. He didn't do it. He was now there as vice president for 8 years, and it's not like it was 25 years ago. It was 3 3/4. It was just a little while ago.
Good math, Trump,
Less
good
than
math.
4 years ago. He didn't do anything. He didn't do it. He wants socialized medicine, and it's not that he wants it. His vice president, I mean, she is
I want it
more
too,
liberal
Trumpy.
than Bernie Sanders and wants it even more. Bernie Sanders wants
Yo,
it.
why
The
is he
Democrats
roping
want
in
it.
Bernie
You're
Sanders? He's
going
only
to
gonna
have
help Biden.
socialized medicine, just like he went with fracking. We're not going to have fracking. We're going to stop fracking. We're going to stop fracking. Then he goes to Pennsylvania after he gets
That's
a
another good
nomination where he
thing.
got very lucky to get it. And he
Yeah,
goes
I
to
don't like their
Pennsylvania,
like
and
the
he
whole
says,
like
"Oh,
VP
we're gonna
like
have
we
fracking."
stand fracking now.
And
I
you
like
never
that.
asked that question. And by the way, so
Is
far,
fracking
I
bad,
respect
though?
very much the way you're handling this, I have to say.
By the way-
But somebody should
Hey,
ask
can
the
you guys
question.
hear music
You can
in
ask-
the
He goes for a
background?
year.
No.
There will be
We have
no
a,
fracking.
we
There
do
will
have
be
a
no
number of
fracking.
we have a number of topics we're
No,
going to
but
get
that's a
to.
big- that's a big
and
question.
we're going to get to we're going to get to.
It's
a
the
number
same
of
thing with
topics.
socialized
I have to
medicine.
respond.
Vice
to
Get
President,
him,
your
get him,
response,
get him,
please.
My
lady.
response is people deserve to have affordable health care, period. Period, period, period. And the Biden care proposal will, in
Period.
fact, provide for that affordable health care.
Period.
Lower
Is it end of
premiums.
story?
What we're going to do is going to cost some money.
Who would have thought?
It's going to cost over $750 billion over 10 years to do it. And they're going to have lower premiums. You can buy into the better plans, the cheaper plans, lower your premiums, deal with unexpected billing, and have your drug prices drop significantly. He keeps talking about it. He hasn't done a thing for anybody on health care. Not a thing.
Kristen, when
Very
he
quickly,
says,
then I want to talk
when
about
he
what's
says
happening on
public
Capitol
option,
Hill.
he's talking about socialized medicine, and when he and healthcare. When he talks about a public option, he's talking about destroying your Medicare, totally
Wrong.
destroyed, and destroying your Social Security.
But
and
that's
this
the
whole
opposite,
country will
though.
come down. You know, Bernie Sanders tried it in his state. He tried it in his state. His governor was a very liberal governor. They wanted to make it work.
Okay,
It
let's
was
let Vice President
impossible
Biden
to work.
respond.
It doesn't
Vice
work.
President
He's
Biden,
a very
your
confused
response.
guy. He thinks he's running against somebody else. He's running against Joe Biden. I beat all those other people because I disagreed with them. Joe
Those are
Biden is
baddies,
running
and I
against.
won.
And the idea
Yeah, I don't like what he
that
does.
we're in
I
a
don't like that
situation
argument that he
they're gonna
does. He
destroy
he falls
Medicare.
on that a
This
lot,
is
and
the
I
guy
do dislike
Yeah.
that
that.
actuary Medicare said,
Yeah.
if in fact, at Social Security, if in fact he continues to withhold his plan to withhold the tax on Social Security, Social Security will be bankrupt by 2023 with no way to make up for it. This is the guy who's tried to cut Medicare. So no, I mean, the idea that Donald Trump is lecturing me on Social Security and Medicare? Come on.
He tried to
Like,
get
Ten
rid of
seconds,
He
Mr.
tried to
President,
hurt
and then I
Social
have to go to
Security
another
years
question.
ago. Years ago. Go back and look at the records. He tried to hurt Social Security years ago.
All right,
the
let's
record
move
books.
on.
This
I'm
is
going to
the
move
guy
on.
that
Let
when
me,
they
Mr.
announced
President, I have
last
to move
week,
on to the next question.
They said
or
the
else
stock
we're not
market
going to have
will
time to
boom
talk about it.
if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
Okay, let's
By the
move
way-
on to the
Analysts are
next
saying
question.
Let me respond.
Very quickly.
Look, the idea that the stock market
Stand
is
up for
moving is the
yourself,
only
lady.
measure of what's happening.
Just tell him no.
Where
No,
I
we're done
come
talking.
from in
Done. End of
Scranton,
story.
Claymont, that people don't live off of the stock market. Just in the last three years during this crisis, the billionaires in this country made, according to the Wall Street, $700 billion more dollars. $700 billion more dollars, because that's his only measure. What happens to the ordinary people out there? What happens to them?
Let's talk about what's happening on Capitol Hill. We're going to
Kristen,
move on.
401ks are through the roof.
We're gonna
People's
move on.
stock are through the roof.
Yo,
and he doesn't come from Scranton.
Yo, she's rad.
That's like
This
one of-
lady's
He
awesome.
lived there for a short
She's
period
doing
of
like
time
such a
before
better,
he
she's
was
doing
No,
so
we're
much
gonna
of a better
move on to
and he
the
job.
next
left. And the
question.
people of Pennsylvania
Let me
will
move
show
on
you.
to
Turn the
my
mic
next
off. Turn the mic
question.
off, people.
As
The
of
production
tonight,
people.
more than 12
Yeah.
million people
She's
are
not letting
out
them
of
talk
work.
over her.
And
She
as
just
of
keeps
tonight,
talking. Like,
8
the other people
million
just, like,
more
bow down
Americans
to
have
him,
fallen
like, let
into
him talk over
poverty,
her.
and more families
Yeah,
are
she's
going
like
hungry every
she's like
day.
stopped a
Those
couple
hit
of
hardest
times.
are
I
women
want her to
and
be a little
people
bit
of
harder,
color.
but like she's
They
doing
see
way better
I think,
Washington
than like
fighting
yeah.
others.
I guess the
over
standard's
best.
not very high
Mr.
in
President,
comparison
why
to the
haven't
other
you
two
been able to
moderators.
get them to help
It's really
you?
doing the
30
best.
seconds.
She's doing the best,
Because
but yeah,
Nancy
she could still
Pelosi
be harder.
doesn't want
But,
to
yeah.
approve it. I do.
But you're the president.
I do, but I still have to get. Unfortunately, that's one of the reasons I think we're going to take over the House because of her. Nancy Pelosi doesn't
We're
want
just
to
gonna take
approve
over the
anything
House.
because she'd
I
love
do.
to have
I do.
some
I would really
victories
love to get Nancy
on
Pelosi
a
out of
date
there.
called November 3rd. Nancy Pelosi does not want to approve it. We are ready, willing, and able to do something. Don't forget, we've already approved 3 plans, and it's gone through, including the Democrats, in all fairness. This one she doesn't want. It's near the election because she thinks it helps her politically. I think it hurts her politically.
All right, Mr. Vice President,
The Republican leader in the United States Senate said he can't pass it. He will not be able to pass it. He does not have Republican votes. Why isn't he talking to his Republican friends?
let me follow up with you, Vice President
we made a
Biden,
deal, the
because
Republicans
let me
will
ask
pass
Vice
it.
President Biden a question. You are the leader of the Democratic Party. Why have you not pushed the Democrats to get a deal for the American people?
Well, I have, and they have pushed it. Look, they passed this act all the way back in the beginning of the summer. This is like it's not new. It's been out there. This HEROES Act has been sitting there. And look at what's happening. When I was in charge of the Recovery Act with $800 billion, I was able to get $145 billion to local communities that have to balance their budgets and states that have to balance their budgets, so they didn't have to fire firefighters, teachers, first responders, law enforcement officers, so they could keep their cities and counties running. He will not support that. They have not done a thing for them. And Mitch McConnell said, let them go bankrupt. Let them go bankrupt. Come on. What's the matter with
The
these
bill that was
guys?
passed in the House was a bailout of badly run, high crime, Democrat, all run by Democrats, cities and states. It was a way of getting a lot of money, billions and billions of dollars to these states. It was also a way of getting a lot of money from our people's pockets to people that come into our country illegally. We were going to take care of everything for them.
What
And what that
are you
does,
on
and I'd
about,
love to do
Trumpers?
that, I'd love to help them, but what that does, everybody all over the world will start pouring into our country. We can't do it. This was a way of taking care of them. This was a way of spending on things that had nothing to do with COVID, as per your question. But it was really a big bailout for badly run Democrat cities and states.
All right,
By the
I
way,
want
if
to.
I get elected, I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I'm going to be an American president. I don't see red states and blue states. What I see is American, United States.
That is a
And
good.
folks,
This is
every
good when
single
Biden like
state
hits
out
that
there
on
finds
as a
themselves in
counter to
trouble.
Trump talking
They're
about
gonna
red and blue
start
states.
laying off, whether they're red
Yeah.
or blue, cops, firefighters, first responders, because teachers, because they
At least I
have
like
to
it.
balance their budget. And the founders were smart. They allowed the federal government to deficit spend to compensate for the United States of America.
I want to talk about the minimum
I like
wage,
aggro
gentlemen.
Biden.
Mr. Vice President, we are talking a lot about struggling small businesses.
This
and
debate's
business
way
owners
different than the
these
first
days.
one, though. It's less
Do
of a
you
shit
think
show
this
for
is
sure.
the right time to ask them to
Shame
raise
it's
the
the
minimum
last
wage?
one.
You, of course, support a $15
Last one was more
federal
fun, though.
minimum
I
wage.
do, because I think
Yeah,
one of the things
definitely,
we're
though.
going to have to do
Like,
is we're going to have to bail
unfortunately,
them
high
out
key.
too. We should be bailing them
It's
out
shitty,
now.
but when it's shitty,
those
it's
small
fun.
businesses. You got 1 in 6 of them going under. They're not going to be able to make it back. They passed a package that allows us to be able to call PPP. Money is supposed to go to help them do
PPP.
everything
PP.
from organize
You said
how they can
PP.
deal with their
Biden said
businesses
PP
being
on
open
television.
safely. Schools, how they can make classrooms smaller, how they can hire more teachers, how they can put ventilation systems in. They need the help. The businesses as well as the schools need the help.
Wait, this is a minimum
But
wage question?
These guys will not help them. is not
Yo,
giving
how is
them
the
any
minimum
of the
wage
money.
not raised
We are
in
going
like
to move on to
11
immigration,
years?
but I want to
He said
get
we
your
have to help
reaction.
our small businesses
Well,
by
because when
raising
you
the
raise the
minimum
minimum
wage. That's
wage,
not
of
helping.
course,
I
Everything
think
else
it
is
should be a
more
state
they
option.
just pass the cost to the
Alabama is different
consumer.
than New York. New York is different
Every
from
time.
If you
Vermont.
keep the
Every
minimum wage
state
low,
is
they'll pay
different.
their
It
workers
should be a
better
state
because
option.
You said very
We have to
recently.
help.
That's
It's
so
very
stupid.
important. We have to
Trickle
help our
down
small
economics.
businesses.
You
How
said-
are you helping your small businesses?
you have to
when you're
remember
forcing
corporations
wages?
are the good
What's gonna
guys, and
happen, and what's been
they're
proven
going to
to
help
happen
us.
We're
is
the bad
when you
guys.
do that, these small businesses fire
We're the
many
bad guys.
of their employees.
You said
Not
very
true,
recently you would
by the way.
consider raising the federal
They
minimum
fire
wage
them
to
because they have to pay
$15
them
an hour.
more.
You said recently you would consider raising
If I
the
was a
federal
greedy
minimum wage to
capitalist, though,
$15 an hour. Is
I
that still the
definitely
case?
would
And I
fire
would
people so they
consider
wouldn't have to pay them.
to an extent. But
In a
what I
second
really
administration?
like, in a second administration, but not to a level that's going to put all these businesses out of business. It
Isn't
should
there
be a state
protections in
option.
place to
Look,
stop that,
I
though,
live
Kyle?
in different places. I know different
there could
places.
be.
They're all different.
Like
Some
wrongful
places,
firing.
$15 is not so bad. In other places,
Well,
other states, $15 would
Okay,
be
President
ruinous.
Trump, thank you. Quick response, Vice President
work
That's
Biden.
the issue. Is
Two
that
jobs, one
$15 in
job,
some states is like amazing.
be
Yeah,
below
that's
poverty.
the issue, fam. It shouldn't be
People are
amazing. It
making
should be
6,
good.
7, $8 an hour. These first responders, we all clap for as they come down the street because they've allowed us to make it. What's happening? They deserve a minimum wage of $15. Anything below that puts you below the
No,
poverty
minimum wage
level.
should
And
be
there is no
$15.
evidence that
No
when you
doubt.
raise the minimum wage, businesses go
Yeah.
out of business. That is simply not true.
We're going to
It's
talk
an
about
old saw.
immigration. We're going to talk about immigration now,
No,
gentlemen.
dude.
And
What
we're
Biden
gonna
doesn't
talk about
know is
families
that.
within this
What about the
context. Mr.
states that have
President, your
successfully
administration
implemented the
separated
$15
children
minimum
from their
wage, huh?
parents at the border. At
How are
least
they doing right
4,000
now, huh?
kids.
That's
You've
right.
since reversed
People
your
have
zero
rights.
tolerance policy.
I mean,
but the
it's
United
technically the states
can't
that have
locate
$15 minimum
parents of
wage,
more than
everything is
500
expensive.
children. So how
But I
will
think
these
it was
families
because
ever
it
be
was expensive,
reunited?
they made it a $15
Children
minimum
are
wage.
brought here
Yeah, exactly.
by
Like that's how
coyotes
it, that's
and
how it
lots of
goes.
bad people, cartels, and they're brought here, and they used to
Oh
use
shit,
them to get
cartels!
into
I don't
our
like
country.
those. I'm
We
scared for
now
my
have
children in
as
my
strong a
suburban
border
neighborhood.
as we've ever
Yeah, you know
had.
what you do about
We're
cartels?
over 400 miles of brand new wall.
Decriminalize
You see the
drugs.
numbers, and we let people in, but they have to come in legally, and they come in through.
But
money.
how will you
But
reunite
let me
these
just tell
kids
you,
with their
Let
families,
me just tell you,
Mr.
they
President?
built cages. You know, they used to say, "I built the cages," and then they had a picture in a certain newspaper. And it was a picture of these horrible cages.
There was a thing and
and they
one
said,
thing
"Look at
though
these
that
cages.
it actually shows
President
that I
Trump
was the
built
good
them."
guy.
And then it was
If you
determined they were built.
if you look,
In
but
2014,
I won't get into
that
it.
was him.
Do you
They
have a
built
plan to
cages.
reunite the kids
Yes,
with
we're
their
working on it
families? No.
we're trying very hard. But a lot of these kids come out without the parents. They come over through cartels and through coyotes and through gangs.
Oh
Vice
shit, the
President Biden,
coyotes
let me
are
bring
bringing
you
the
into
kids
this
across the
conversation.
border?
Quick response and then another.
Holy
one.
shit, man! I didn't
These
know dogs were
500
behind
plus
this too.
kids came with parents.
Yeah, man,
They
canines
separated them at
actually the real
border
problem at the
to
border.
make it a disincentive to come to begin
Are
with.
coyotes canines?
Real tough.
Yes, they
We're
are.
really strong. And guess what? They cannot. It's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them. They got separated from their parents, and it makes us a laughing stock and violates every notion of who we are as a nation.
Let me ask you a follow-up
Kristen,
question.
they did it. We changed the policy.
Your response
they
to that?
did it. We
They did it
changed
first.
They built the cages.
Mom, he started it.
They,
Who built the cages, Joe?
let's talk about what
Who
we're
built the
talking about.
cages,
Let's
Joe?
talk about what we're talking about. What happened? Parents were ripped, their kids were ripped from their arms and separated. And now they cannot find over 500 sets of those parents, and those kids are alone. Nowhere to go.
Shit, bro, do we just
Nowhere
like
to
kill
go.
people?
It's criminal.
Just concentration camp
It's
people?
criminal.
No, we
Let
do
me
that.
ask
Did
you
you
Listen,
hear
I will say
about
this. They
10
went down.
seconds
We
That's
brought
like
in
a-
reporters.
ICE
everything.
has tortured
They
people
are
into
so
signing
well taken
deportation
care of.
papers?
They're in facilities.
They're so
that
well
were
taken care of,
clean.
trust me.
Some of
Have
them
gotten
haven't been
such good-
reunited.
But
I
just
hate
ask
ICE.
one
Hold on, I had to
question.
go pee again.
Who
I'm
built the
mute myself
cages?
and
I'd
turn
love
my
you to
speaker.
ask him that. Who built the cages?
Let me ask about your immigration policy, Mr. Vice President. The Obama administration did fail to deliver immigration reform, which had been a key promise during the administration. It also presided
This
over
NBC
record
lady just went in on
deportations as
Obama.
well
Damn,
as family
okay.
detentions at
Respect.
the border before changing course. So why should voters trust you with an immigration overhaul now?
Because we made a mistake. It took too long to get it right. It took too long to get it right. I'll be president of the
That's
United
an honest
States,
answer.
not vice president
Like
of the United
legit, like
States.
we just
And
didn't have enough
the fact
time.
is, I've made it very clear. Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people.
100
and all
days,
of
bro?
those so-called dreamers, those DACA kids,
I don't like those promises.
they're going to be immediately
My
certified
first day
again
in
to be able
office,
to
I
stay
will.
in this country and and put
like,
on a path to citizenship. The idea that they are being sent home by this guy, and they want to do that, is they've gone to a country they've never seen before. I can imagine you're 5 years old, your parents are taking you across the Rio Grande River, and it's illegal. And you say, oh, no, Mom, leave me here. I'm not going to go with you. They've been here. Many of them are model citizens. Over 20,000 of them are first responders out there taking care of people during this crisis. We owe them. We owe them.
Wait, 20,000
President,
first
he had 8
responders are
years
undocumented immigrants?
to do what he said he was going to do. And I've
We
changed
did.
without having
That's
a
legit.
specific. We got rid of catch and release. We got rid of a lot of horrible
Catch and
things
release?
that they
That's
put
what you
in
do for
and that they
fish.
lived with. But he had 8 years
That's
he
a
was vice
fish
president.
thing.
He did
Oof.
nothing
is a
except
pretty
build
oof thing.
cages to keep children in.
Wrong
Vice
choice of
President
words,
Biden, your
Trumpy.
response.
The catch and
Wrong
release. You know what he's
choice of
talking about
words.
there? If in fact you had a family came across and they were arrested, they in fact were given a date to show up for their hearing. They were released. And guess what? They showed up for a hearing. And this is the first president in the history of the United States of America that anybody seeking asylum has to do it in another country. That's never happened before in America. That's never happened before in America. You come to the United States and you make your case that I seek asylum based on the following premise, why I deserve it under American law. They're sitting in squalor on the other side of the river.
President Trump, your response,
So
30
important.
seconds, and then
Oh.
we'll
It just shows that he has no understanding of immigration or the laws. Catch and release is a disaster. A murderer would come in, a rapist would come in,
A catch
very
and
bad
release,
person would come in.
it's good
We
for
would
fish,
take
bad for
their
people.
name. We have to release them into our country, and then
Catch
you say
and
they come
release.
back. Less than 1% of the people come back. We have to send ICE out and Border Patrol out to find them. We would say, come back in 2 years, 3 years. We're going to give you a court case. You need Perry Mason. We're going to give you a court case. When you say they
Damn,
come
bro,
back,
2, 3
they don't
years not
come
nice,
back,
though.
Joe. They never come back. Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ, they might come back.
Okay,
But
President
Oh,
Trump,
he's
let's
so
give Vice
stupid.
President Biden a chance
Dude,
to
holy
respond, and
shit,
then we're
my
going to move
man.
on to the
You
next
don't know
Wrong
the
section.
law,
choice.
Joe.
Word,
Vice
wrong
President
thing to
Biden, your
say.
response.
Know the law, what he's telling you is simply not true.
Well, check it out. They don't come back.
Check it out.
All right, let's move on
But we don't have to
the
worry
next
about it because they
section.
terminated it, so we don't have to worry about
Let's
it
move
anymore.
on to the next
And you have
section.
525 kids not knowing where in God's name they're going to be and lost their parents.
Go ahead.
All right, let's talk about our next section, which is race in America. And I want to talk about the way black and
Is
brown
race a
Americans
social construct?
experience race in this country.
That's a good question,
Part of
actually. They
that
should ask that.
experience is something called
Yeah, straight up,
the
like,
talk.
is race a social construct?
It happens regardless of class and income. Parents who feel they have no choice but to prepare their children for the chance that they could be targeted, including by the police, for no reason other than the color of their skin. Mr. Vice President, in the next 2 minutes, I want you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
I do.
No.
I do. You know, my daughter is a social worker.
IDK, why you're scared,
and,
though.
She's written a lot about this. She has a graduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania in social work. And you know, one of the reasons why I ended up working on the east side of Wilmington, Delaware, which is 90% African American, was to learn more about what was going on. I never had to tell my daughter, if she's pulled over, make sure she puts, for a traffic stop, put both hands on top of the wheel and don't reach for the glove box because someone may shoot you. But a black parent, no matter how wealthy or how poor they are, has to teach their child when you're walking down the street, don't have a hoodie on when you go across the street. Making sure that you, in fact, if you get pulled over, yes, sir, no, sir, hands, yes, sir, no, sir, hands on top of the wheel, because you
Yo,
are,
I do
in
that.
fact,
I
the
put my
victim,
hands on the
whether
wheel,
you're
man.
Child of a
Yeah, but you're not white, Kyle.
$300,000 a year person,
Yeah,
or
but
someone who's on
I
on
mean,
food stamps.
it sucks that that's
The
like
fact
the
of the
case.
matter is,
But
there
like,
is
I don't know why anyone tries their
institutional
luck with
racism in
cops.
America.
Like,
And we have
I've
always
Right.
said,
I've still never been
we've never
pulled
lived
over,
up to
so
it.
I don't,
We
I don't
hold
know
these
what I would
truths to
do.
be self-evident. All men and women are created equal. Well, guess what? We have never, ever lived up to it, but we've always constantly been moving the needle further and further to inclusion, not exclusion. This is the first president to come along and says, that's the end of that. We're not going to do that anymore. We have to provide for economic opportunity, better education, better health care, better access to schooling, better access to opportunity to borrow money to start businesses. All the things we can do, and I've laid out a clear plan as to how to do those things, just to give people a shot. It's about accumulating the ability to have wealth as well as it is to be free from violence.
President Trump, same question to you, and let me remind you of the question. I would like you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
Yes, I do. And again, he's been in government 47 years. He never did a thing except in 1994.
He's not talking to the
when he did
families.
such harm
Yeah,
to the
I don't
black
think this
community.
is a good tactic, honestly.
And
I
they
think
were
it's a bad
called,
tactic
and he
to
called
just try
them
to-
super predators.
Going
And
straight
he
to
said
Biden.
that. He said it, super predators. And they have never lived that down. 1994,
Fucking
the
A.
crime bill, the super predators. Nobody has done more for the
super
black
predators.
community than Donald Trump. And if you look, with the
Yeah, man, keep
exception
talking in the third
of
person.
Abraham Lincoln, possible exception, but the exception
Possible.
of Abraham Lincoln, nobody has done what I've done. Criminal justice reform.
Nobody's been as
Obama
much of a dick as
and
I have,
Joe.
man.
I don't even think they tried because they had no chance
Excuse
at
me.
doing it. They might have wanted to do it, but if you had to see the arms I had to twist to get that done, it was not a pretty picture, and everybody knows it, including some very liberal people that cried in my office. They cried in the Oval Office. 2 weeks later, they're out
They
saying,
cried
"Gee,
like
we have
little
to
soy
defeat him."
boys in my
Criminal
office.
justice reform, prison reform, opportunity zones with Tim
Shout out
Scott,
to
a great
fucking
senator
Kim Kardashian
from
for
South
making that
Carolina.
happen.
He came in with this incredible idea for opportunity zones. It's one of the most successful programs. People don't talk about it. Tremendous investment is being made. Biggest beneficiary, the black and Hispanic communities, and then historically black colleges and universities. After 3 years of coming to the office, I love some of those guys. They were great. They came into the office and they said, I said, what are you doing? After 3 years, I said, why do you keep coming back? Because we have no funding. I said, you don't have to come back every year. We have to come back because President Obama would never give them
Oh, my
long-term
God.
funding.
He
And
really
I did.
didn't talk to the
10-year
people.
long-term funding, and I gave them more money than they asked for because they said, I think you need more. And I said, the only
I think
bad
that
part about this
I mean
is
I think the
may
biggest
never
issue
see
here
you
is that
again
he
because
didn't answer the
I got very
question. He
friendly
didn't talk
with
about
them,
why
and they
kids
like me and I
like
like
I think
them.
Joe
But I
Biden answering
saved
like how he didn't have to train his daughter to keep her
colleges
hands
and
dirty was like a
Okay,
good, better
and we're
good
going to talk about
response,
both of
and
your records,
Trump
but
kind
your
of ignored that
response to
issue.
that, Vice
My
President.
response to that is I never, ever said what he accused me of saying. The fact of the matter is, in 2000, though, after the crime bill had been in the law for a while, this is a guy who said, the problem with the crime bill, there's not enough people in jail. There's not enough people in jail. And go on my website, get the quote, the date when he said it. Not enough people. He talked about marauding gangs, young gangs, and the people who are going to maraud our cities. This is a guy who in the Central Park five innocent black kids, he continued to push for making sure that they got the death penalty. None of them were guilty of the crimes they were suggested. Look, and talk about granted, he did in fact let 20 people, he commuted 20 people's sentences. We commuted over 1,000 people's sentences. Over 1,000. The very law he's talking about is a law that, in fact, initiated by Barack Obama. And secondly, we're in a situation here where the federal prison system was reduced by 38,000 people under our administration. And one of these things we should be doing, there should be no minimum mandatories in the law. That's why I'm offering $20 billion to states to change their state laws to eliminate minimum mandatories and set up drug courts. No one should be going to jail because they have a drug problem. They should be going to rehabilitation, not to jail. We should fundamentally change the system, and that's what I'm going to do.
But why didn't he do it 4 years ago? Why didn't you do that 4 years ago? Even
Because,
less than
like,
that,
you know,
why
the
didn't
Senate
you?
was, like,
You were
red and
vice
stuff.
president. You keep talking about all these things you're going to do,
Yo,
and you're going to do this.
I just
but
want
you were
them to
there
call
just
out
a
Mitch,
short
dude.
time
Call
ago,
out Mitch,
and
please.
you guys did nothing.
We
You
did.
know, Joe, I
here's my
ran
question
because
is, like,
of you.
why didn't you
I ran
do thing
because
in
of
past,
Barack
though? Like,
Obama.
why didn't
Because
you
you
do
did a
it?
poor job.
Me at
If
Trump,
I
why
thought you
didn't
did
you
a
do
good
it?
job, I would have never run. I
Like,
would
why
have
didn't you
never
do it,
run.
though?
I
Like-
ran because of you. I'm looking at you now. You're a politician. I ran because of you.
All right, Vice President Biden, your response to
Aw,
that, and then
how
I do have some
flattering.
questions for both
That
of
was
you.
kind
tell
of
you
cute
what,
the way you
inspiring.
said that.
I hope
I
he
ran
does
because
look
of
at me
you, man.
because
You
what's
inspired
happening
me.
here is
You're my
you know who
hero.
I am.
You
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 know
were
who
supposed
he
to
is.
bring balance
You know
to the
his
force,
character.
Biden.
You
You
know
didn't.
my character. You know our reputations for honor and telling the truth. I am anxious to have this race. I am anxious to see this take place. The character of the country is on the ballot. Our character is on the ballot. Look at us closely.
Let me ask some
Excuse me.
Please respond,
If
and then we're
this
going to have
stuff
follow-up
is
questions.
true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq, if this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
All right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody's
Take a look
President
at the
Trump, I
laptop.
want to
Who, though?
stay
Who's
on the
they?
issue
Who's
of
they?
race. We're talking about the issue.
Trump
Trump started this like a
President
week and a
Trump,
half
we're talking
ago.
about
He's like,
race
oh,
right
I'm not
now,
going
and
to
I do
attack
wanna
him
stay on the issue
as
of
being
race.
far left
President
anymore. I'm going to
Trump,
attack him
just
as being
respond to
corrupt
that.
again,
Please.
because that's how I
Very
got
There
Hillary.
are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
And
You
that's
gotta
exactly
be-
what-
Is this
that's
where you're
exactly
going?
what
This
was
is
told.
where he's going. The laptop is Russia,
Yes.
Gentlemen,
Russia.
I want to stay on the issue of race.
You have
okay?
to be kidding. Here we
Mr.
go
President,
again with Russia.
We're going to continue
Boy,
on the issue of
Russia.
race. Mr. President,
believe
you've
that one.
described the Black Lives Matter movement as a symbol of hate. You've shared a video of a man chanting white power to millions of your supporters.
Oh my
You
God.
said that black professional athletes exercising their First Amendment rights should be fired. What do you say to Americans who say that kind of language from a president is contributing to a climate of hate and racial strife?
Well, you have to understand, the first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, they were chanting pigs in a blanket, talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police.
Bro,
Pigs
that's like
in
a common
blanket,
slur.
frying
Like that's like that's
bacon.
old news, Trump.
I said,
It's like,
that's
can you
a
believe
horrible
it?
thing.
Pigs.
And they were marching down the street. And that was my first
You damn right, pigs.
glimpse of Black Lives Matter. I thought it was a terrible thing. As
Yep,
far as
yep, we're on the same
my
team, Trump. Fuck
relationships
pigs.
with all people, I think I have great relationships with all people. I am the least racist person in this room.
Well, what do you say to Americans who are concerned
in this
by that
room.
rhetoric
I don't know.
and by
I mean,
the
I don't know
videos?
what to say. I got criminal justice reform done and prison reform and opportunity zones. I took care of black colleges and universities. I don't know what to say. They can say anything. I mean, they can say anything. It makes me sad because I am the least racist person. I can't even see the audience because it's so dark. But I don't care who's in the audience. I'm the least racist
God.
person. in
That's
this
like a
room.
low bar. Like
Okay,
I don't
Vice
care who's in the
President Biden,
audience.
let
Yeah,
me
that's
ask
like a
you
low
very
bar,
quickly,
guy.
and then I have a
It's a
follow-up
low-ass
question for you.
bar.
Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history. He pours fuel on every single
I like how he called him
racist
Abraham Lincoln.
fire. Every single one. Started
That's a
off
good
his
roast.
campaign coming down the escalator saying he's going to get rid of those Mexican rapists. He's banned Muslims because they're Muslims. He has moved around and made everything worse across the board. He says about the poor boys. Last time we were on stage here, he said, I told him to
He just called the
stand
Proud
down
Boys the
and
poor
stand
boys.
ready. Come on.
That's a good
This
get. That's
guy
a
is
good
dog
like mess
whistle
up.
about
Actually, that's pretty funny.
He's fucking awesome.
President
man.
Trump, I'm
good-
going to give you 10 seconds to respond, and then I have a
I like
follow-up.
that. I like
You made a
that. The
reference
poor
to Abraham
boys.
Lincoln. Where did that come
Poor
in? I mean,
boys.
You said
where
you're
did-
Abraham
Little
Lincoln.
boys.
Where did that? No.
You said-
I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the black community.
And I'm
I
saying-
didn't
Oh
say
my God.
I'm Abraham Lincoln. I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done
Dude,
what I've
what a
done for the
straight up
black
liar.
community. Now you have
Why
done
am I getting
nothing
so mad
other
at
than the
this?
crime bill, which put
Oh, God.
It's just a bold-faced
tens
lie.
of thousands of black men, mostly in jail.
All right, let me-
And you know
let me
what?
a- let me
they
ask
remember
Vice
it.
President
Yo, I want them to
Look
ask
at what's
them the,
happening with
marijuana
voting right
question.
now.
Let me ask
They
Vice
remember
President
that
Biden
you treated them
about-
very, very badly.
Is weed a
Just take a
vegetable?
look at what's happening out there.
Vice President Biden, let me
Yeah,
give you
that's
a
what I
chance
meant
to
by the
respond
marijuana
within
question,
this
Kyle. You're
context.
right.
Crime
Is
bills
weed
that
a
were supported
vegetable?
In the 80s and 90s contributed to the incarceration of tens of thousands of young black men who had small amounts of drugs in their possession. They are sons, they are brothers, they're fathers, they're uncles, whose families are still
They
to
are
this day,
uncles,
some
folks.
of them suffering the consequences. So speak to those families. Why should they vote for you?
One of the things is that in the 80s, we passed 100%, all 100 senators voted for it, a bill on drugs and how to deal with drugs. It was a mistake. I've been trying to change the since then, particularly the portion on cocaine. That's why I've been arguing that, in
Damn.
fact, we should not
Legalize
send
cocaine.
anyone to jail for a
Biden.
pure drug offense. They
It's
should be
a
going
flex.
into treatment. across the board. That's what we should be spending money on. That's why I set up drug courts, which were never funded by our Republican friends. They should not be going to jail for a drug or an alcohol problem. They should be going into treatment. That's what we've been trying to do. That's what I'm going to get done, because I think the American people have now seen that, in fact, it was a mistake to pass those laws relating to the drug. But they were not in the crime bill.
But why didn't he get it done? See, it's all talk, no action with these politicians. Why didn't he get it done?
Wait,
that's
isn't
what I'm
Trump
going
like
to
a
do
politician
when I
now?
become president. You were vice president along with Obama as your president, your leader, for 8 years.
That is correct.
Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years
Obama
to
was
get it done.
president.
Now you're saying you're going to get it done because you're all talk and no action, Jim.
We got a
Your
lot of it
response.
done. We released
didn't get
38,000.
anything
We got
done.
38,000 prisoners left from the.
You got nothing done.
38,000 prisoners were released from federal prison. There were over 1,000 people who were given clemency. In fact, we're the ones that put in the legislation saying we could look at pattern and practice of police departments and what they were doing, how they were conducting themselves. I could go on, but we began the process. We lost an election. That's why I'm running to win back that election and change his terrible policy.
Quick response, and then we're
I
gonna
just
move
asked
on
one
to climate
question.
change.
Why didn't you do it in the 8 years, a short time ago? Why didn't you do it? You just said, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. You put tens of thousands of mostly black young men in prison. Now you're saying you're going to undo that.
I hate
Why
this.
didn't you get it done? You had 8 years with Obama. You know why, Joe? Because you're all
Kendall,
talk
I understand
and
why
no
you hate this,
All
but
right,
I
Vice
think I think
President Biden, and
that
then we're
Trump's
gonna move on to the
criticism to
next
Biden
section.
on this topic is
The
actually
Republican
fair.
Congress.
Like, I think Biden should be criticized for his
No, I'm
standing up for the
I'm
crime
mainly
bill.
still stuck on the thing where
Okay.
he was
You gotta
bragging
talk
that he was
him
as
into
good
it,
as
Jim.
Abraham
All
Lincoln.
right.
You gotta
Oh
talk
yeah,
him
that is
We're
ridiculous.
going to move on to our next section,
like I
which
did
is
with criminal
climate
justice
change.
reform. I had
Okay.
to talk Democrats into it.
Gentlemen,
You did what we
we're running out of
already done.
time, so we got to get on to climate
Gentlemen,
change. please.
gentlemen,
You both have
please.
very different visions on climate change. President Trump, you say that environmental regulations have hurt jobs in the energy sector. Vice President Biden, you have said you see addressing climate change as an opportunity to create new jobs. For each of you, how would you both combat climate change and support job growth at the same time? Starting with you, President Trump, you have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So we have the Trillion Trees program. We have so many different programs. I do
What is
love
that?
the environment, but
Wait,
what
I
I
have
want
not
is
heard
the
of the Trillion
cleanest,
Trees
crystal
program.
clear water, the cleanest air.
He probably thought
we
of
have
just
the best,
trees and then the
lowest
next word that
number
starts
in
with T.
carbon emissions, which is a big standard that I notice Obama goes with all the time. Not Joe. I haven't heard Joe use the term because I'm not sure he knows what it represents or means, but I have heard Obama use it. And we have the best
damn, dude.
carbon
Dude,
emission.
Trump
The,
is
the one
numbers.
thing I have to
in
give Trump,
35
dude,
years
Trump's funny.
under this
He is funny, like
administration.
undeniably,
We are
he is
working
funny.
so well
Like that
with
was funny
industry,
right
but
there. That was a
here's
good
what we
joke.
can't do. Look at China, how filthy it is. Look at Russia. Look at India. It's filthy. The
Oh my
air is
God.
filthy. The Paris Accord. I
he's
took
not
us out
wrong about
because we were
China
gonna
and
have to
India's air
spend
quality, though.
Trillions of
Oh, yeah.
dollars, and we were treated very unfairly.
But I think him calling
When they
those
put us
nations
in
filthy
there,
is
they did
definitely
us a
wrong.
great disservice.
But, like,
They were gonna
it is
take
true
away our
that
businesses.
China
I
and
will
India do
not
have terrible like
sacrifice
air quality.
tens of millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of companies because of the Paris Accord. It was so unfair. China doesn't kick in until 2030. Russia goes back to a low standard, and we kicked in right away. It would have destroyed our businesses. So, you ready? We have done an incredible job environmentally. We have the cleanest air, the cleanest water, and the best carbon emission standards that we've seen in many,
He's
many years.
deregulated so much that
Vice
shit.
President
That's
We
just a
haven't
blatant
destroyed our
lie.
industries.
Vice President Biden, 2 minutes to you, uninterrupted.
Climate change and climate warming, global warming, is an existential threat to humanity. We have a moral obligation to deal with it. And we're told by all the leading scientists in the world we don't have much time. We're going to pass the point of no return within the next 8 to 10 years. 4 more years of this man eliminating all the regulations that were put in by us to clean up the climate, to limit the limit of emissions, will put us in a position where we're going to be in real trouble. Here's where we have a great opportunity. I was able to get both all the environmental organizations as well as labor, the people worried about jobs, to support my climate plan. because what it does, it will create millions of new good-paying jobs. We're going to invest in, for example, 50,000 charging stations on our highways so that we can own the electric car market of the future. In the meantime, China is doing that. We're going to be in a position where we're going to see to it that we're going to take 4 million existing buildings and 2 million existing homes and retrofit them so they don't leak as much energy, saving hundreds of millions of barrels of oil in the process and creating significant number of jobs. And by the way, the whole idea of what this is all going to do, it's going to create millions of jobs, and it's going to clean the environment. Our health and our jobs are at stake. That's what's happening. And what right now, by the way, Wall Street firms indicated that my plan will in fact create 18.6 million jobs, 7 million more than his. This is from Wall Street. And I'll create $1 trillion more in economic growth than his proposal does. Not on climate, just on the economy.
President Trump, you're
Today came out and said very strongly, $6,500 will be taken away from families under his plan, that his plan is an economic disaster. If you look at what he wants to do, if you look at his plan, his environmental plan, you know who developed it? AOC plus 3. They know nothing.
AOC
about the
plus
climate.
3.
I mean, she's got a good line of stuff,
Hot
but she
take,
knows
bro.
nothing about the climate. And they're all hopping through hoops for AOC plus 3. Look,
Yo, that's great, dude.
their real plan
So
costs
what the fuck is
$100 trillion.
AOC plus 3?
If we had the best
It's the
year in the
squad.
history of our country
It's
for
just such a
100
funny
years,
way of
we would
calling out
not
the
even
fan.
come close to a number like that.
Oh,
when
I
he says
actually- I
buildings,
enjoy
they
that.
want to take
AOC
buildings
plus
down
3 is
because they
funny.
want to make bigger windows into smaller windows. As far as they're concerned, if you had no window, it would be a lovely thing.
They're
This
trying
is
to
the
make your
craziest
big windows
plan
small
that
windows.
anybody has ever seen. And this wasn't done by
Me over
smart
here, a window
people.
lover.
This
Ooh, I don't know
wasn't
about
done
that.
by anybody. Frankly, I don't even know how it can be good
All right.
politically. They want to spend $100 trillion. That's their real number. He's trying to say it was $6
trillion dollars.
It's $100 trillion. They want to knock down buildings and build new buildings with little, tiny, small windows. I mean, and many other things.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
many
man, the
other
window-
Let
things.
me
that-
have the
that's
Vice
the big
President
problem
on,
with
and we're
climate
running out of
change. The
time.
win-
We
our
have a lot
windows are
more
way too
questions to
big.
Destroy
get
our
to.
country.
So let's hear from the Vice President. I have a number more questions.
I don't know where he comes from. I don't know where he comes up with these numbers.
Queens.
$100 trillion. Give me a break. This plan was endorsed by every major environmental group and every labor group. Labor, because they know the future lies. The future lies in us being able to breathe, and they know there are good jobs in getting us there. And by the way, the fastest growing industry in America is solar energy and wind. He thinks wind causes cancer, windmills. It's the fastest growing job.
Remember when
And
he
they
did
have
his
good
big? Do you
prevailing
guys remember
wages,
when Trump did his big attack on wind
$45,
energy?
$50
That
an
was
hour.
really funny.
We can grow
It's a move,
and we
bro. It's a
can be
flex.
cleaner if we go the route I'm proposing.
President Trump,
Excuse me.
please
We are
respond, and then I have some
We are
follow-up.
energy independent for the first time. We don't need all of these countries that we had to fight war over because we needed their energy. We are energy independent. I know more about wind than you do. It's extremely expensive, kills all the birds. It's very intermittent. It's got a lot of problems, and they happen to make the windmills in both Germany
even
and
say
China.
anything
And the
anymore.
fumes
So
coming up,
funny.
if
Oh
you're
my
a
God.
believer in
Wind-
carbon
wind
emissions,
kills all the
fumes
birds.
coming up to make
Dude,
make
he
these
just
massive
jabbed Germany, and
windmills
I'm like,
is more than
whoa.
anything that we're talking
So
about with
some people-
natural
some
gas, which is
people we
very
know
How,
might
how
not
to
be
get
happy
Caio's
about
Find
it.
me a son.
Solar.
Like a German
I love
spirit.
solar, but solar doesn't quite have it yet.
Oh, you
It's
are
not
right.
Powerful and
I'm
yet
not name
to,
dropping, but
to really run our big,
I know
beautiful
exactly who you're
factories
talking
that we
about.
need to compete with the world. So
False.
it's all a pipe dream. But you know what we'll do? We're going to have the greatest economy in the world.
Could
But
you
if
guys
wanna
pick
kill
his
the
brain on
economy, Get rid of your oil
Pick whose
industry.
brain? I don't know-
You
I don't know
wanna-
what you're talking-
And
what
what
you're
about
talking
fracking?
about.
All right,
Now-
let me
now we
let
have
me
to ask him
allow
about fracking.
Vice President Biden to
I
respond.
never said I oppose fracking.
You said it on tape.
I did. Show the tape. Put it on your website.
I'll put it on.
Put it on the website. The fact of the
Okay,
matter is,
there we go,
it's
guys.
flat
Promise.
lying.
Would you
Flat-
rule out banning fracking?
I do rule out banning fracking because the answer we
Fracking
need,
is shitty though.
we need other industries
Fracking's
to
bad.
transition to get to ultimately
Fracking, like,
a
creates, like,
complete
earthquake
zero
vulnerability
emissions by
and lots of other
2025.
issues,
What I
and
will
we
do with
shouldn't frack.
fracking over time is
It also
make sure that
poisons
we
the
can
groundwater.
capture the emissions
Yeah.
from the fracking. capture the emissions from gas. We can do that, and we can do that by investing money and doing it. But it's a transition.
Yeah, I don't
to
like
that.
the
I have
Biden
one
like
more question
yeah,
in this
I'm
pod,
on
and then
big
we
frack.
have-
He was against fracking. He said it. I will show that to you tomorrow. I
Good.
am against fracking. Until he got the nomination, went to Pennsylvania. Then he said, but you know what, Pennsylvania? He'll be against it very soon because his party is
Is this
totally
shit
against
almost
it.
over?
Fracking on federal land.
don't know.
said.
How long does it go on?
fracking
We're almost 2 hours
or
in.
oil on
It's
federal
supposed
Let
land.
me
to be
ask
90
this final
minutes.
question in this section, and then I want to
Final
move on to
question.
our final
Oh, no, this is
section.
going on longer.
President Trump, people
This is
of
gonna be a
color
2-hour
are
debate.
much more likely to live near oil refineries and chemical plants. In Texas, there are families who
And just a
worry
heads
the
up, I might
plants
have
near
to
them
leave,
are making them sick. Your administration has
Stream a
rolled
little
back
early, yeah.
regulations on
Just
these
'cause,
kinds of
art
facilities.
night.
Why should these
gotcha.
families give you another 4 years in office?
The families that we're talking about are employed heavily, and they're making a lot of money, more money than they've ever made. If you look at the kind of numbers that we produce for Hispanic, for Black, for Asian, it's 9 times greater, the percentage gain, than it was under, in 3 years, than it was under 8 years of the 2 of them, to put it nicely. 9 times more. Now, somebody lives, I have not heard the numbers or the statistics that you're saying, but they're making a tremendous amount of money economically. We saved it, and I saved it again a number of months ago when oil was crashing because of the pandemic. We saved it. We got, say what you want
Dude,
about
they're too
relationship. We got
exhausting.
Saudi Arabia,
this is gone-
Mexico,
this feels
and
like
Russia
way longer than it's
to
actually
cut
been.
back, way back. We saved
yeah.
the oil industry, and
like,
now
I've been,
it's very
like-
vibrant again.
All
And
right.
everybody has very inexpensive
I've been
gasoline.
in it,
Vice
right?
President
But
Biden, your response, and then we're going to have a final question for both of you.
It's
My
just,
response
he said,
is
she
that
said
those
it,
people
though,
live on what
the
they
whole
call
time.
fence lines. He doesn't understand this. They live near chemical plants that, in fact, pollute. Chemical plants and oil plants and refineries that pollute. I used to live near that when I was growing up in Claymont, Delaware. And all the more oil refineries in Marcus Hook and the Delaware River than there is any place, including in Houston at the time. When my mom get in the car and when there was first frost to drive me to school, turning the windshield wiper, there'd be oil slick in the window. That's why so many people in my state were dying and getting cancer. The fact is, those frontline communities, it doesn't matter what you're paying them, it matters how you keep them safe. What do? And you impose restrictions on the pollutions, the pollutants coming out of those fence line communities.
Okay, I have one final
Would he
question.
close
It
down
falls-
the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close
it
down the
falls-
oil
By the way, I
industry?
would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I will
that's
transition.
a big statement.
It is a big statement
That's a big
because
statement.
I would stop.
That's a
Why
good
would you
statement.
do
I like that
because
statement. Yeah, transition
the oil
from oil.
industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
Here's the deal, but you
That's a
can't
big
do
statement.
that. Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time, and I'd stop giving to the oil industry. I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. He won't give federal subsidies to the gas, excuse me, to solar and wind.
Yeah.
He's
Why are
into
we
it.
giving
He's-
it to
he's
oil
like, oh
industry?
yeah, I'm a
We
big oil
actually do
man.
All
give
right.
it to solar and wind.
We
And
have
that's
one
maybe the
final
biggest
question.
statement in terms of business. That's the biggest statement.
Okay,
Because
we have
basically
one
what he's
final
saying
question,
is he is
Mr.
going to
President.
destroy the oil industry. Will you remember that, Texas? Will you
Okay.
remember that, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Vice President Biden, let me give you 10 seconds to respond, and then
Ohio.
I have to get to the final question. Vice President Biden.
He takes everything out of context, but the point is, look, we have to move toward a net zero emissions. The first place to do that by the year 2035 is in energy production, by 2050 totally.
All right. One
Is he gonna
final
get
question
China
to
to
both
do
of you.
it?
No, we're finished with
Is
this.
he
We
going
have
to
to
get
move on
China
to
to
our
do it?
final question. We
No,
have to
I'm
move
going
on
to
to our
rejoin
final
Paris
question.
Accord and make China abide by what they agreed to.
All right,
Limit
this
China
is about leadership,
hours.
gentlemen. And this first question does go to you, President Trump. Imagine this is your inauguration day. What will you say in your address to Americans who did not vote for you? You'll each have 1 minute, starting with you, Mr.
We have to make our country totally successful as it was prior to the plague coming in from China. Now we're rebuilding it, and we're doing record numbers, 11.4 million jobs in a short period of time, et cetera. But I will tell you, go back. Before the plague came in, just before, I was getting calls from people that were not normally people that would call me. They wanted to get together. We had the best
It's always
black
people.
unemployment
Always
numbers
people,
in the
man.
history of
All
our
the people.
country. Hispanic,
always
women,
people,
It's those guys, man. It's the
Asian,
other guys.
people with diplomas, with no diplomas, MIT graduates, #1 in the class. Everybody had the best numbers. And you know what? The other side wanted to get together. They wanted to unify. Success is going to bring us together. We are on the road to success. But I'm cutting taxes, and he wants to raise everybody's taxes, and he wants to put new regulations on everything. He will kill it. If he gets in, you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen. Your 401ks will go to hell, and it'll be a very, very sad day.
He's
He's
just
playing
swearing
on
on
Twitter.
All
television.
right.
Trumpers.
Vice President Biden, same question to you. What will you say during your inaugural address to Americans who did not vote for you?
I will say, I'm an American president. I represent all of you, whether you voted for me or against me. And I'm going to make sure that you're represented. I'm going to give you hope. We're going to move. We're going to choose science over fiction. We're going to choose hope over fear. We're going to choose to move forward because we have enormous opportunities to make things better. We can grow this economy. We can deal with the systemic racism.
He's not saying anything
At the same
about Trump.
time,
This is good.
we
This
can
is
make
good.
sure that our economy is being run and moved and motivated by clean energy, creating millions of new jobs. And that's the fact. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to say, as I said at the beginning, what is on the ballot here is the character of this country: decency, honor, respect, treating people with dignity, making sure that everyone has an even chance. And I'm going to make sure you get that. You
Death
haven't been
before
getting it
dishonor.
the last 4 years.
All right. I want to thank you both for a very robust hour and a half, a fantastic debate. Really appreciate it. President Trump, former Vice President Joe Biden, thank you to Belmont University for hosting us tonight. And most importantly, thank you to those watching tonight. Election Day is November 3rd. Don't forget to vote. Thank you, everyone, and have a great
Go
night.
Buffs.
Thank you.
It's finally over.
All right.
Yo, you betcha. If I was a fucking moderator, I would definitely finish with Go Buffs.
All right. Sko Buffs.
Go Buffs.
I want to hear Caio's overall thoughts.
Yeah. What's our takes? What's our takes before we end the stream?
Let's ask Caio because you're our guest here.
My take?
Yeah. What's your take about?
Yeah, what you thinking?
I liked how Biden's last minute didn't say anything about Trump. I guess he's mentioned, like, he said the last 4 years at the end, but I thought that was a power move. I thought that Trump talking shit on his was like, Lamau. Of course, Trump. I think that was bad. But aside from that, that was good.
Kyle, who won?
Biden won.
Do you think Biden won? Like, I also agree Biden won. Do you think that is
Yeah.
outside of our biases that he won that debate? Like a nonpartisan would agree that Biden won?
Yeah, solely because, I mean, he answered more questions, and then Trump also spent a lot more of his time, like, attacking Biden. And it's one of those things where, like, it's at the end of the day, like, when I listen to a debate, I mean, I'm just trying to hear, like, hey, what are you going to do about this problem? Well,
Precisely. But then
I'll tell
Trump,
you,
and
the
you ask
past
Trump that, and he dodges it, right? He
the
dodges
past
it.
like 4 years, they've done nothing to them, and then it's just like, well, hold up, what are you gonna do? Let's, like, we already know Trump's a little bit of a jackass, but, like, what are you up to? So I feel like the fact that Biden did that more than Trump did is, in my eyes, makes him one big winner.
Yeah, I agree. I think that like overall, like I think Biden did a better job. I think Trump definitely like came off more presidential than he did last time. But I don't
Still
know if
not
that's to his benefit though. Like I kind of think that him steamrolling last time, like of course like rational people saw that and they didn't like it, but that probably fires up his base, and I think this probably doesn't fire up his base, and I feel like rational people are probably already lost if like I don't know if Trump made any gains from this, and I don't think either one of their performances changes
Either
where the
one.
election was going.
Everyone's already decided, you know.
Yeah.
I just feel like I don't know. I have a hard time with
They're definitely like
Biden was always bringing like comfort and plans and peace, basically, like in that entire thing. But Trump always runs on fear.
yeah, Trump's
Come on.
divisive and fear. I'm just like the pausing frame, just Trump's posture is always so funny. He's always at like
Like when he's
he's
listening
always
to
at like 105-degree angle standing up. Like he's never straight up. He's always like leaning forward in a funny way. Yeah, I think that Biden he did better. I think you're right, Kendall. Like how Biden was trying not to be divisive and fearful. Like I think especially when Biden like was going about how I don't see red or blue states, I see United States. I think that's a good line against Trump's when Trump's like when Trump was like Dr. Fauci, who I think is a Democrat, as like a way to
Just to discredit. It's silly.
discredit him was so funny.
I don't know, man. It's just I don't get how people can listen to Trump and be like, well, he keeps dodging questions. Like, how can I trust him? Because I mean, Trump's classic move is whataboutism, right?
Yeah.
It's just like as soon as someone's like, "Oh, well, Trump, what about this scandal?" and he's like, "Oh, well, Hunter Biden," and yeah,
He actually didn't bring up Biden's kids as much as I thought he would.
yeah, I agree with that. I don't know. It's just crazy. It's really exhausting to hear that debate.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Even
Wow.
Trump is still trying to kind of like butt in at times.
I know. Like after 2016, I think everyone has a bit of trauma, but I really see Trump having a really hard time pulling this off this year.
I don't know. That's what they were saying with Hillary, I feel.
Yeah, but I think like just on like a level of likability, Biden's way more likable than Hillary ever was.
That's very true. And
Oh yeah, agreed.
Hillary is an unlikable person.
yeah, she's super unlikable.
And the attacks on Biden for corruption just don't really land like they did against Hillary. I think against Hillary those like attacks kind of do work, but like I didn't feel like whenever he like attacked Biden as like a corrupt politician, I just didn't feel like it really hit or stuck. I mean, I'm sure it sticks for his base, but I don't know if like see, that's the thing, like I don't know what Americans are thinking like.
I mean, I don't know. I only have a very small sample size.
Exactly.
But I feel like a lot of undecided people are still like, yeah, Joe Biden's an idiot.
Who's undecided? That's my biggest like question is who's undecided right now?
I know plenty of people I know
Really?
who are not voting.
Oh yeah. That's a bigger group than the undecided vote is the not voting group. But the people that aren't voting aren't tuning into the debates.
I mean, it's just crazy that Trump is also like holding he's holding the what's the word? The relief the COVID relief stimulus checks hostage.
Yeah, that's bad. I mean, Nancy Pelosi is to an extent also complicit. I don't know. I feel like there's been some updates and I might have missed a little bit of it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Nancy Pelosi could just come down to the Republicans' demands, but like
I just want to say, fuck Nancy Pelosi. Fuck Mitch McConnell. They're all terrible. Term limits. Can we just get term limits? I feel like that would make our Senate and Congress so much better. Can we just get term limits, please?
Court as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, everywhere. Term limits on everything.
They do have term limits. Like,
do they?
It
hasn't Nancy
every
Pelosi
6
been
years they have to be reelected.
No. But I'm saying like Nancy Pelosi you should be able to get 12 years if it's every 6 years. You should get 12, and that's max.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think that like regardless of if people are reelecting you, like you should not get to be a state representative for for more than like 2 terms. And I think that should be for everything. Like you shouldn't be a senator for more than 2 terms. You shouldn't be a representative for more than 2 terms. And I think it would get rid because people get corrupt and they get bought off and they get disconnected from their constituents. And I feel like that's like a big example with Nancy Pelosi. I feel like she's very disconnected from like the base.
They get less progressive too. I feel like the longer they stay because they worry about keeping the job. Because I feel like the best way for America to improve, right, is to always keep changing and always keep experimenting with stuff. But if we've got the same exact people in for their entire lives,
exactly, yeah,
America doesn't see any change whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, Micah, I totally agree with you. It's never going to happen.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the biggest reason it's never going to happen is because for it to happen, you'd have to get the people that are in those positions to agree that they shouldn't stay in those positions too long. So like, because for like term limits to get passed, you need the Senate to pass that, and that's never going to happen. So
it's never going to happen. And I've been looking at Mitch McConnell's race as well. He's definitely going to win again.
Yeah, I heard it's tightening though, but I do agree that it's going to stay Mitch McConnell. The race I'm more interested in is South Carolina with Lindsey Graham versus Jamie Harris.
Yeah, that's interesting. And also, the fucking Texas might go blue. Did you hear about that, Caio?
Yeah, I know about
They're
that.
fucking tied. They're fucking tied
I saw that
right
they're tied
now.
in the polls. I
It's
don't believe it.
nuts.
I don't think it's going to happen this time. But the fact that they're tied in the polls is a big sign of where
It's
Texas is
great.
going to be in the future, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we can always hope, right? We can always hope that like maybe it'll go blue, right?
I mean, if it does, it's over for Trump. Like, there's no way he can win. But it's okay. Well, I'm looking at Real Clear Politics right now. Their average of Real Clear Politics still has Trump as a plus 4 lead. But there is one poll that does have them tied. But still, the fact that it's only a plus 4 lead in Texas is pretty insane.
Yeah, it's pretty freaking nuts.
He's done, bro. He's done. He's on the way out, Trump.
he
Watch
could
I
out.
be.
hope so, dude. I'm still scared, but Biden's winning in Virginia, it looks like.
Me
Minnesota,
too.
Biden.
Oh, also, Mike, I sent you a link, I think, because I came across it. But there's a North Carolina man arrested because he was planning an assassination plot on Joe Biden.
Oh my God. Yo, did you guys hear about the in California the ballot box that was burned with like
Yeah, I'm feeling
And
the
then,
newspaper.
and then Trump supporters in Albuquerque were like obstructing voting down.
were
in
they going
Albuquerque.
to the polls?
Yeah, they were just going to the polls, but like not allowing people to vote.
Yeah, that's like
They were just
super
like
illegal.
blocking ballot boxes, and it's really fucked up. But I haven't looked too much into that yet. I only just saw that.
Yeah.
I skimmed through the article. I want to know if I hope those guys got like 5 years in prison.
Yeah, you should go to prison if you said that. That's like
I think if interfering with voting or whatever, he's like
Oh,
a
it's
5 year.
yeah, that's I think it's a felony, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Voter fraud, voter suppression.
Yeah.
No, voter
Big
fraud.
deal, but a lot of this stuff is going unchecked right now because a lot of extreme right wingers are feeling pretty emboldened at
Yeah,
this time.
that's Trump, man. That's what he does.
I mean, I feel like I feel like a lot of people, or like a lot of extremists, are feeling emboldened. It's just crazy. Like, you know, like those Nazi rallies we've had the last couple of years where they're carrying tiki torches. I mean, back in the past, they would wear robes, but now people are just doing it proudly and showing their face. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's crazy how you can feel that way.
We're like 11 or 12 days away right now.
Oh
But
my God.
technically probably longer because we're not going to have results by the 3rd.
And y'all voted, yeah?
Yeah, I voted. I voted
Yeah.
like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, something like that.
I finished my vote today. I dropped it off.
Drop boxes are good. Everyone should use drop boxes.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so nice because like it's literally like a 5-minute ordeal.
Yeah, and it's like guaranteed to get counted versus the mail-in is still a little sketchy, especially in some states.
But I
Yeah,
thought
bro. Mailing that in is sus now.
mail-in voting was actually found to not have much fraud going on.
Oh, there's no fraud. It's just like the issue is
There
with
is
like
no
the
fraud.
U.S. Postal Service
Oh,
has been
yeah,
like the lack of like sorting machines and like they've been suppressed in resources. So that's why like
And then
I
people
wouldn't
were
mail it in.
finding-
That's why I do drop boxes. I don't know if every state has drop boxes though.
Yeah, and then people have been finding like trash bags full of like filled out ballots, like just thrown out on the side of the road and shit.
Oh shit. Yeah.
I mean, it's only happened a few times, but like the fact that it's already happened
a few times is like still a pretty
like
big deal.
that's at least several people's votes completely wasted.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like this is kind of wrapping back around to, I mean, at least me and Mike's opinion is down with the Electoral College. But Kyle, how do you feel about that? Get rid of the Electoral College?
Feel about what?
Get rid of the Electoral College?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I don't know why. I love the attack ads that run in Colorado.
It's like
where
giving
it's like-
California your vote.
Yeah, it's like no, it's not how. Like, first of all,
It's worse.
like the whole national popular vote bill that we're like that's passing through doesn't even establish a national popular vote. It just says that we'll give our electoral votes in the electoral college to whoever wins the national popular vote. So like
If
like
and there's
is
still a
no
condition
national
for
vote
that.
still.
And that's only if other states agree to it, where it's like enough
Yeah.
to win the presidency.
Yeah, so it's not even like an actual national popular vote. I mean, it's closer than what it is now, but it's just everyone's like, yeah, you're going to give your vote to California. It's like, I mean,
Yeah, but that same logic
no.
means like we're currently giving our vote to Wyoming if you're using that logic, you know?
I also
yeah.
had I had an interesting question. especially for for both of you. Do you think our if Trump's reelected, do you think America can survive? I mean, I know it'll, like, survive, but do you think, like, our personal freedoms and shit will survive the next 4 years? If he was reelected?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't
don't
know.
think.
I'm gonna say
Because I
question.
feel like if he's
I don't know if
reelected,
he's gonna establish like a dictatorship, if that's what you're
Well,
asking.
no, I don't believe he will. I don't think that's kind of ridiculous. I'm saying stuff like I just feel like, he's reelected. He's going to keep doing what he's been doing, which is, stacking every position with like-minded people, right? So then, like, that means the corruption in our government could run for another,
I think,
or, like, we're going to have status quo for like another, like, 20 years.
he might harm our democracy further, but
Yeah, I think that.
I know we'll all survive and stuff, but, like, I don't know. It's just like the last 4 years has been a lot of public unrest.
Yeah.
And it's scary, man. It's scary, and for some reason we're killing each other over political ideologies, which I just don't get.
Yeah,
radical left killing radical right, vice versa. Terrorism attacks, white terrorism.
But like, that's the thing, is that leftist groups don't do terrorist attacks.
That is
and
very.
everyone
They don't.
says that, but like they
Everyone
don't.
says that, but they don't. It hasn't happened. Like,
It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, the number of deaths due to domestic terror have all been right wing.
Yeah, there's no left-wing domestic terror. And wasn't the FBI report saying that the biggest threat for domestic, like, terrorism is right-wing groups and, like, those right-wing militias?
Terrorism in the US is domestic. It's white terror.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that, like, just a couple weeks ago we had people trying to kidnap the fucking the governor of Michigan. That still makes my head roll right now. Like, holy shit, dude! A militia tried to go, like, commit a felony, or, like, that has to be insane jail time, right? For storming a place with guns. I don't know. Well, thank you all for listening to episode 2
of episode 2-ish bonus episode. We'll have official episode 2 tomorrow, where we will be interviewing the Inspector Gadget subreddit's last hope, the real Jughead.
I've been so excited this whole week.
That'll be exciting to see.
We found, or Micah found, the Inspector Gadget subreddit, and there's only one guy who posts on there. I was just looking at it, and he just posts fan art all day and stuff. And so Micah reached out. He's coming on the podcast.
So that'll be a lot of fun.
Me and Micah have written out a bunch of stupid questions we're gonna ask him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bet he's like in his 50s, maybe. But
yeah, I don't know. That's my biggest question: is how old is he? I guess that should be a question.
I'm gonna be so interested if he's like within our age range.
He's either like in our age range or way older, I think.
Yeah, precisely.
One of the two. All right. Thanks for watching. If you are watching, we'll hit you later.